Hey everyone, Tyler here. Hope you're excited to hear about Spider-Man. I know I'm excited to tell you about it. I just want to let you know before we get started that our virtual guest this week might sound a little weird. Please bear with us. I tried to edit as much as I could, but he was having internet difficulties. It doesn't take away from the episode. Still awesome. So I hope you're excited to hear about it as much as we were to talk about it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Nerd of All Trades, the podcast where a motley crew gather to discuss movie pitches, favorites, and, as always, bring a high level of sophistication to the room. I'm your host, Tyler Birch, and here's the rest of the crew.
This is J. Fred, the engineer.
This is just Derek.
Swan the newbie.
Charlie Vann.
Charlie is a special guest. He has his own podcast, which you'll be able to hear a little bit about later on. Kick it off. We're not doing Pitch Storm this week just because we have a new guest this is our first time having a virtual guest, and it doesn't really work for a card game that's in person. So we're going to forego that. So we're going to go straight into the movie pitch segment. So as you know, each of these franchises created a world filled with its own rules, ideas, and imagery. And it's up to us just to completely wreck everything they've done by pitching our own crazy ideas, and just thinking that we can make the universe better. Do we? Debatable. Not a very good debate, but it's possible. So this week we're going to kick off with J. Fred.
All right. So, first of all, I have not seen all of the Spider-Man movies, so it's entirely possible that my idea has already been done. And
Opinion null
I'm
and
just
void.
gonna seem like an idiot. I mean, my opinion is usually null and void, so that's fine. Kind of consistent, actually. So what I thought would be really cool was in like the end of the Spider-Verse, they have all the different Spider-Man characters. If they had all of the Spider-Man characters from all the different Spider-Verses and then all of the bad guys from the universe that we know and have them kind of clash almost like a Avengers type thing, but all Spider-Man instead of...
So when you're saying like villains, just like Red Skull, like just all the Marvel villains?
Yes.
Okay.
All the ones that we've known and loved, but
Loved?
Well, I did.
So
but,
not just
you know.
Spider-Man villains, but Marvel
Yeah.
villains.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think there should be an emphasis on the ones that were more prominent in Spider-Man. I think there were a lot of different villains that like showed up in one or two comics of Spider-Man that were typically other Marvel villains. I could be wrong about that.
Oh yeah, a lot of them shown up that are
Yeah.
other people's. They're like, you know what?
Yeah.
And
This guy's
in a
too hard.
universe like Marvel, like there's probably a lot of crisscrossing here
yeah.
and there. Like I'm sure Spider-Man might have even been a villain of someone once, or
I mean,
fought them. I would
Well,
say.
Mysterio. Mysterio was also an X-Men as well. I
Yeah.
remember
It's from
as a
WWE.
kid, many ages ago, having an X-Men book, and Mysterio was the villain. They were at this kind of circus zoo, and he entrapped all the X-Men. But Spider-Man utilizes them a lot more, and of course, in the animated show. So, but Mysterio is still one that kind of crosses over. Kingpin too. Kingpin is also another one they haven't done in Spider-Man yet, but I would love to see Kingpin on there.
Yeah. So I think
Like
there's
the
a pretty
Mysterio
solid
circus
base that
thing.
you could
Yeah.
put
right.
together a movie like that.
Okay. Would you have So is this an animated movie or is this a live action? Because you mentioned Into
Personally-
the Spider-Verse. So
Right. I would prefer it being live action, but I feel like that would be difficult with some of the Into the Spider-Verse characters.
like the anime robot.
Well,
I
you
mean,
could do that.
Special effects are
Yeah.
good now.
Just get Elon Musk to build the robot for you.
So does that mean like live action? You would put this in the MCU, like with
Yeah.
like the current Spider-Man we have, like he meets other Spider-Man, or
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, I don't know who I would have play the main Spider-Man. I'm still kind of on the
So
fence.
the
on
one
that.
we're familiar with could also just be like a side Spider-Man, maybe not even the main one then.
True.
Okay.
Yes. There are a lot of
It just
possibilities
happens
there.
to be his universe that they come to.
Yeah.
Which it would be ours, I guess. But
So now we have a clue of which Spider-Man is not J. Fred's favorite.
Maybe. You don't know.
Now I got an idea though.
that's fair.
All right, cool.
Just for a quick record, who played Miles Morales in that one?
He's a voice actor.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd have to.
I think half of that,
Like I feel like
was-
it's someone
half of
that I
that
might
was more
recognize,
up
but
and
now I can't
coming.
remember.
Shamik Moore.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
But here's something to think about. If you watch Homecoming, Miles' uncle is in the movie,
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
played by Donald Glover. It's a small cameo. So Miles,
he's
you
supposed
got
to
to
be the guy
think,
who turns
is
into
in that
Prowler?
universe.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
So you got to
Very
think that
different type of
Miles is
Prowler.
somewhere in that universe.
Yeah, so he did mention that he had the nephew, right? Because I think that's
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
Okay.
I think they were teasing it. Yeah. Plus, it's also because like Donald Glover, everybody really wanted him to be Miles Morales in the 2000s,
Yeah.
but now
Oh,
he's
really?
like he's too old. So
Yeah.
like I think they were like
Yeah.
we're gonna throw this bone.
Yeah, they wanted him before. Actually, he talks about it in his stand-up bit because there was a petition. This is like the beginning of Twitter. Before they casted Andrew Garfield, there was a petition for Donald Glover to be Spider-Man. So it is cool that he's kind of an Easter egg in a way in Homecoming.
For those who know, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't know that. I didn't put two and two together like that. That was really cool.
Plus,
If
I mean,
you
that's
don't
the
know, now
scene's
you
so
know.
good, and he's just like, dude, no. And he's like, what about this web? He's like,
He's
we'll
like,
dissolve in a
"Bro,
few hours.
I got
He's like,
ice cream in here.
the enhanced interrogation mode. And he's like, I don't understand what you're saying. Cool.
That was good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely would be down for that. I mean, any live action Spider-Verse movie is gonna get an okay for me, especially if we can get like Superior Spider-Man stuff like that.
Mhm.
So.
That's why I went for it. It was the low hanging fruit.
I think everybody would be down for that one. So
Yeah,
you
that's
already
what
got
I'm saying.
funding.
So
Yeah.
are you like copping off like, is this going to be like Spider-Man Civil War now, or do you have like a more original name? Or
I haven't come up with a name. I'm really bad at coming up with names for my pitches.
Okay. I like coming up with the names. I don't like coming up with the pitches.
Maybe you guys
That's
can
the hard
collab
part.
and just
Yeah.
What name would you give it then, Derek?
I'd have to come up with something, but I could think of something.
All right, if you think of something, get back to us.
Okay, I will.
All right, but now you go.
Oh, now it's my turn. Okay. So I guess the one I came up with didn't really say I wasn't allowed to do this, so I'm creating some new characters,
What?
some new villains.
Creativity is dead.
Well, unfortunately, now there's going to be this in Marvel Comics now. So
It wasn't expressly forbidden in the rules.
if
so
this shows up in the comics, you've heard it first here. Okay, but
Is this about the disaster thing again?
maybe.
So mine would be, I don't know if I want to tie Green Goblin into it. Like he would fit the theme of it, but it would be Spider-Man Malignity, which is kind of a popular term for a group of goblins. And so I'm thinking like a big villain be Hobgoblin, which I think you informed me. You said he was like a mercenary.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he would also have, so there'd be like basically like this group of villains that are all like goblin themed like that. Like, cause you know, you have Green Goblin, which again could fit in there. I don't know how big of a character Hobgoblin is, so I don't know if they would be like fighting for like a main villain type thing. But then the other two would be Trow and Bogey, which are based off of other types of goblins. Like Bogey would be more of like similar to like an Ant-Man type style where he can shrink. And then Trow is kind of like they can turn humanoid, but they also have like another form that's like kind of a little more, maybe think of like the size of like the Thing, or not quite the Hulk, but something a little more bigger and like buffer, like the Rock maybe, like that.
Like the Igor armor from Iron Man 3.
Yeah, something like that, like a little bigger and bulky. Those were both based off of folklore goblin types or whatever I was Googling.
I mean, I'm into it, so.
So yeah, like, and just have like this league of goblins. I don't exactly want to know like what they're trying to accomplish here, but they are in.
Are we sure they're trying to accomplish anything?
I mean, they are goblins, so that
I mean, they might just be like fucking shit up. They might just be stealing stuff. I don't really know. Like again, I don't really know much about Hobgoblin. You know, Green Goblin was kind of his own little thing. Like
they just want to destroy the establishment.
yeah, I mean maybe I don't know. Maybe they're like a troop of goblins that go around robbing places. I don't know.
They're just tired of
But-
people talking shit about goblins.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I didn't get that far into like why they're doing it, but it would essentially just be Spider-Man versus this group of goblins, which, or maybe it's like he's already taken down Green Goblin for, and he's like, shit, there's fucking more goblins. Like, where do these things keep coming from? Like,
Goblin gang.
yeah, there you go. Like they call themselves the Goblin Gang. I don't know.
GG.
But but yeah, like Hobgoblin's there with Trow and Bogey, and maybe Green Goblin, or maybe Green Goblin helped Spider-Man fight him off or something. I don't know. Didn't really get that far into it, but that's what I got.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely some good meat there for a story. Obviously, you have to come up with why they're attacking. Either no reason they just
The whole reason they're there,
right,
like
like-
Spider-Man encounters them.
yeah.
Oh,
But I think the concept is really interesting. I like that.
Ooh, you know what you could do?
what?
Depending on how you want to make these goblins happen,
Mhm.
but like, the gas that turns Green Goblin into Green Goblin,
Mhm.
he like puts in like the drinking water or something, and that's how you get like all these goblins popping up.
That would be cool. Like
Yeah.
little goblin minions or something.
So
Or sends in an envelope. I don't know.
So most chemicals you react differently if
Gas
you inhale
doesn't go
or
in water
ingest
like
them.
that, Tyler.
I mean, it can. Their gases do.
There are oxygen bubbles in water. I'm aware.
Yeah.
He throws out goblin straws in the water. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really fleshed out a backstory for Bogey or Trow or anything yet, but I mean, I probably could. Like, if I wanted to write my own Spider-Man thing.
And then somewhere Captain
Send it
Planet
in.
pops out of nowhere. It's like, I
Captain
don't think so.
Captain
Yeah.
I
Planet.
don't think so. Wrong
dare.
comic book.
He dare,
Knowledge is power.
he dare pollute the water, and he starts kicking the shit out of Green Goblin.
Oh my god.
It's actually Al Gore that pops out of the water.
Dressed as Captain Planet.
Oh, it's an inconvenient truth.
And then after he kicks his ass, he's like, I invented the internet.
Al Gore was the man bear pig guy,
And then
right?
Mark
Yeah.
Cuban jumps in, but I had Yahoo.
First you, then Man Bear Pig.
I'm so ethereal. I told you guys they were goblins.
Then we
Oh
just
my
had
God.
$1 billion Justice League.
Making more enemies for the podcast.
Yeah. Now we got
Al
Al
Gore.
Gore.
for talking about Al Gore.
Our
George
podcast is
like, thank you
radioactive.
for talking about it.
At least he'll tell people it is.
All right. What do you got?
So I really want to talk about sequels for certain movies. So the ones that I am most anticipating is the sequel for Spider-Verse and the sequel for the new Spider-Man movie. What's the name of the British guy? I forgot his name. The new Spider-Man,
Tom
guy
Holland?
that plays Tom Holland.
Far from home.
Yeah, Far From Home. I would like to see the Sinister Six in some way, because those guys are like my favorite, like Doc Ock and Rhino, and because I didn't like how they ended the Andrew Garfield one with like showing Rhino as like a big Russian man in a suit, and then it just ends.
Well, I don't think they were necessarily planning
I don't
on
think
the
we're plan-
franchise
then
ending
don't-
right there,
Then
but
don't end it until I don't think they were planning to end it right there.
I
but-
think it was more of like a he got fired from playing Spider-Man kind of thing, and
Yeah.
they
I
were
actually
like,
don't
well,
know-
we'll reboot it later on.
I actually don't know what happened to Andrew Garfield, why they switched him. out.
Marvel took over.
That's why,
Marvel.
Yeah, okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marvel took over. I mean, that one didn't do as well, but Marvel, they were going to do Spider-Man 3, and Black Cat was supposed to come in.
Ooh.
Finally.
And they decided to, when Marvel wanted to bring in Spider-Man to Civil War, they just rebooted the whole thing. And I think they bought over the rights to all the Spider-Man. So that's how they won that, because was it Columbia? Or not Columbia,
Sony?
but
Sony, yeah.
yeah, Sony had, well, Columbia Pictures, but Sony had the rights, and they bought that. That way they could
Yeah.
bring Spider-Man into the Avengers.
Okay. Yeah.
Poor Andrew Garfield, though.
Yeah, poor Andrew Garfield. I
Actually,
didn't like how they ended that movie, but anyway, that's for another section. So I would say that I would like to see the Sinister Six in some way, but I don't know if I would want to see them animated or live action. What do you guys think? That's what.
They were the bad guys. That was the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sinister Six again. Okay.
Yeah, the Sinister Six.
They
those are
popped
like
up all over.
Yeah.
I
The
think
only-
live action would be cool. You had BJ Novak, who was already the
Yeah.
head of it, as Alistair. I think you can make it work.
I mean, they've been laying the seeds in the Tom Holland ones, because they got Vulture, they got Scorpion.
They do, yeah,
Scorpion.
yeah. They've shown those guys. So, but you could animated, you could just they just pop out. Like
Yeah.
you don't need to lay any ground for it. They could just pop out. But yeah, I would like to see a live action. Obviously with Mysterio, he's not going to be either. He's not a thing, or he's another one of the workers that used to work for. I forgot the name of the intern that worked for Tony. That got like his whole program got called Poop, and then that's why he became Mysterio.
It was called Barf.
Barf? Was it barf or poop?
It was
It
barf.
one of the two.
I was like, I don't think it'd be poop.
Yeah, the software used in Civil War.
Barf. Okay. But yeah, I guess live action would make more sense. But I don't know exactly. I guess now that they showed that Tom Holland Spider-Man's actual identity got revealed, it would be them running like the underground like crime syndicate like in New York. So Spider-Man would still have to like fight them while not being like friendly neighborhood Spider anymore. He's like a guy that killed Mysterio.
Well, I mean, if you want them to just pop out of nowhere, you could always just make like, hey, everyone knows his identity. He's in class one day.
I wouldn't.
Fucking villain shows up to kill him at school. Like,
I wouldn't want them
It's
to
true.
pop out of nowhere because I feel like in live action that doesn't make too much sense. I feel like in animated you could just do that. That's why like Spider-Verse works so well with the last three with Spider Noir and Spider Ham and Penny Parker because most people already knew who they were, and even if you didn't, they were like likable characters. So that's why I feel like you can just pop any random character out and animated and you don't have to lay any groundwork.
Well, they dropped the origin stories at least.
Yeah, they dropped the origin stories, and that's what helped a lot. But they've already set down the groundwork for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But I would like to see that. I really hope that's what they do for the next live-action Spider-Man is the Sinister Six. But I don't know what I would call it. What would we call it? Just Spider-Man Sinister Six?
I mean, it's a good name for it. And they already got Vulture there.
Yeah, they
That's
got Vulture,
1/6
and
of
they showed Scorpion.
Mysterio's kind of dead, so he's
Mysterio's
probably not going to be on there.
Here's the
Is he part of the Sinister Six?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the game, he was one of them?
I don't know about the game.
I don't know about the Sinister Six game. I'm only thinking of the Marvel Spider-Man one that came out last year.
Was that not about the Sinister Six?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Was he one of them in that?
No.
Oh, okay, that's why I didn't think he was. Was one of them that one.
I know that he was a part of the original Sinister Six.
Yeah, he was.
Okay. Thought they were.
But
all
yeah,
According to
I thought they were
Wikipedia.
all like animal people. Because all of Spider-Man's villains are like fucking animals.
Yeah,
like
they are.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
Rhino, Cheetah, Vulture, Scorpion.
And then you got
Croc.
Craven the Hunter who hunts the
Yeah,
That's
Hunter.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's the rumor. I mean, I think that's the big question for the next Spider-Man movie. Who will they haven't announced? They're supposed to
Yeah.
film in January, but they haven't announced. But a lot of speculation is Craven because they've been wanting to do Craven even since Andrew Garfield. That was a character that Craven.
You saying they've been Craven?
They've been Craven. Well, they're probably like, we've done Green Goblin so many
That's
dang
good.
times. What you're going to eventually have to do, you're going to have to bring Norman, maybe not as Green Goblin, but Norman is like the Joker, the Lex Luthor of Spider-Man's world in a way. Like you kind of, it's hard
Yeah.
to like go against having at least that character. Because even in Amazing Spider-Man 2, I mean, he was sick, but he wasn't in the suit. His son, took over that, but still having that character is such a pivotal person.
Yeah. You could fund the Sinister Six or something too. Like,
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be the Green Goblin, but an Osborn has to be part of the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
If you're not giving me Uncle Ben, at least give me Osborn.
I would have Harry be the new kid again. I would have Harry come in kind of like Tommy Oliver in Power Rangers. And maybe it's their senior year, and he comes in, and he's been at boarding school or wherever, and
Prep school.
and
I'm down.
everybody like he's the
Down.
popular kid right away, but he really doesn't care. And
He's got great hair.
He's got some nice hair.
but maybe has everybody seen Spider-Man 2, Far From Home?
Yeah,
on
I've
this
seen all of them.
podcast?
Yeah.
I've seen it. It was
So if
pretty
you've
good.
seen it,
Anyone who's seen it wants to
his
see
Peter
it.
Parker's exposed. Well, what if Harry is sent from Norman? It's kind of a false friend.
Ooh.
That's an idea, yeah.
Is this your
But
pitch,
he
Chad?
becomes actual good friends. I mean, that's where Hollywood magic,
Yeah.
But he realizes Peter's a really good guy, and Norman doesn't want
Yeah.
to hear.
He's not so good of a good guy.
Yeah. Well, because Norman, at the end of the day, or maybe he wants Spider-Man's help. Either way, he uses his son.
Yeah.
There
That's
you
what I
go.
would like to see as one of the sequels to these movies because I know they're working on the next sequel to Spider-Verse and also live action Spider-Man. But I would like to see the Sinister Six now that they've laid out the groundwork for them. That's my movie pitch. Spider-Man Sinister Six.
My real question is, who would you get to play Craven the Hunter?
Craven the Hunter? Shit, I don't actually
Bradley
know.
Cooper.
Bradley
What
Cooper.
is he supposed to look like? I don't know.
It depends.
He's-
He looks big, burly, and has like the cheetah print stuff. He looks like a big
Honestly,
caveman.
Like a lion's head for a shirt with like the mane going over his shoulders.
Yeah, there's different
Yeah,
versions.
I was like,
I say Jason Momoa would hands
Yeah,
down
I was
be a
thinking
good
that
Momoa,
too.
like-
But
Jason
Aquaman,
Momoa, actually.
although Michael Keaton's going to be in
That was
Batman
my thought.
again.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, trying to think of who would be able to handle something like being Craven.
Like I said, what he said, the only one that I thought of was Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
That's
I just feel like I should think of someone
How-
that's like not as big.
Yeah, right. Like someone a little more obscure.
yeah.
Maybe.
What's that Jay Manganiello guy? Joe Manganiello?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Although I know he's gonna they may use him because now with Snyder and that they may bring him in as Deathstroke
Yeah.
at some point.
Hope so.
Not that you can't cross over because Keaton's about to be in Flashpoint and he's still tied to Marvel as well. And J.K. Simmons is still
Everywhere.
Gordon in this world, and he's so they don't care anymore about crossing over. Ryan Reynolds is going to be Green Lantern, like, because of his cameo in the Snyder cut. So
Whatever happened to
Anything's
not crossing
possible.
streams?
I think we're just running out of actors.
Yeah, there's
running out of
not.
actors.
We are running out of actors. There's nobody like.
What
I
do you
would. I
think?
would like to see Jason Momoa, just because he's a good actor and he hasn't. I really want to see him in Dune. That's gonna be pretty cool. But anyways,
I want to see
yeah.
him as Lobo.
Yeah.
yeah, Lobo. Oh,
And
he
if
would
you-
come.
if you have the
That was
physique of
originally
Logo,
Vin
you'd be
Diesel.
Craven,
Like, people thought Vin Diesel would play Lobo, and then The Rock was also mentioned as a possible Lobo.
I could
But-
see The Rock.
I could see
but
The Rock.
But I
with-
think Jason
yeah.
not so much
Momoa,
Vin Diesel, but
or
I feel like
or
reverse.
you know who'd also
Really?
be who's kind of I don't know if he's bitter about it, but
I don't know
they
much about
they had interviewed what's his name from Walking Dead and comedian from Watchmen.
Oh, Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, because he plays
It-
Thomas Wayne.
He definitely has
And,
the look. He could be a Craven.
Yeah.
I think
You need
he'd
to
be a
bulk
good
up.
Lobo too.
Yeah, a little bit, but
Yeah.
He's a little bit older now, but sorry, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. But
at this point, give it Christian
Um,
Bale. I'll watch it still.
he's Pepper now. He's a little seasoned.
Christian Bale would also have to bulk up.
No,
Considering
I kind of
But
would
he's
like
done
a
it
villain
before,
not
though.
to
True,
be a very
yes.
known person, honestly. Like,
Well,
I would
feel
like
he was more cut.
I would
not
like
so
to
much
see somebody
bulky,
because you already
but-
have Tom Holland. Tom's a star now. I mean, he's a superstar. I don't think every character in your movie has to be played by a superstar. I think if anything, because this is where we get in the problems, even sometimes with superheroes, where there is a name, and then
Yeah.
you just see the name.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Mad Mackinson. Like, he's really still not a name. I mean, he's been on Hannibal and Rogue One, but you wouldn't say, "Oh, I know that guy," but the characters he plays. And Defoe was like that for a long time as well. That's why when he was Norman Osborn, yes, if you follow Platoon, but he's just you don't see him as that name.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I didn't
maybe
know who
they
that
do
first
something
guy
like
was.
that. I mean, they're just go through
The
Game of Thrones.
bad guy,
maybe
Doctor
you'll
Strange.
find Crave the Hunter.
The big guy in the space.
No, Caecilius, the one that fought Doctor Strange.
See, I,
That's the name of that actor.
I saw the movie once
Yeah,
when it
I've
came
seen
out.
Nicholson,
I was
yeah.
not a Doctor Strange fan.
I've seen him in a bunch of other movies. I just didn't know his
You said
name.
Matt
Yeah.
Malkinson?
Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Oh.
want Mads to be Mr. Freeze.
That'd be interesting.
Maybe.
Victor Fries.
I thought, you just saw Joker. I think they could do a Mr. Freeze like that. You don't have a lot of Batman. This is the very beginning.
But would
not to
you
get off
really
track,
want to
but-
think Mr. Freeze and not see Arnie? I mean,
You know,
well, I don't remember. if it was the
there was
original,
moments in
the
that
one from,
movie
like,
that had true
the 90s
Freeze.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
At least the backstory of Freeze.
Chris O'Donnell just trashed that movie. He's like, this is like a toy commercial.
It's not wrong.
The nipples.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
too can get a bat card. Bat credit card.
But yeah, that would be my movie pitch. Is I really want to see the Sinister Six, just because those are my favorite. It's like my favorite lineup of supervillains for Spider-Man. Because they're all animals.
I think there's always a cool part, like when you think of a team of villains. Kinda like
Yeah.
even with mine, like and with Jayford's, like having a team of villains against one person. Like
Yeah,
part of it's because we want to see them overcome great odds. Part of it because we kind of want to see them get the shit beat out of them a little bit. Like,
Especially
you
because
can't be super all the time. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like,
Especially
you have to
because-
have your hardship.
That would be the best way to let the world in like New York realize that Spider-Man is good, and then he didn't actually kill Mysterio. If he like helps New York defeat all these villains, I feel like that would be the best redemption to be able to get like the trust back.
What if he uses his notoriety to form the
Sinister Six?
Sinister Six as the
God.
leader, and then he takes him down.
I say there's supposed to be a new League of Heroes, and all of it that because he
That'd
can't
be-
do it anymore. And then all of a sudden they turn bad, and he's like, "Well, shit! I just created like 6 villains."
Well, I meant more like him taking down these villains by forming
Oh.
an organization. But yeah, I guess he could accidentally create his own enemies.
I don't know. Tom Holland's Spider-Man seems like he could accidentally create his own villains. Like,
Tom
Sure, he
Holland's
was real done with Mysterio. So.
exactly
He was,
so
like-
fucking dumb. But
You know who could beat Norman Osborn if
Who?
they brought him in the next movie? I think Bryan Cranston could play Norman Osborn. Either Bryan or he's already been in a villain before, Patrick Dempsey. Could play a Norman.
we talking
Osborn,
like
too.
we talking about like Norman like with Green Goblin or without Green
Yeah,
Goblin?
well, just being the dad,
Oh, okay.
the
Cool.
rich
I couldn't see
dad.
Bryan Cranston probably being Green Goblin.
No, but if you're just doing, neither could I with
you're just
Chris
doing Lex
Cooper,
Light.
but I could see him playing the
Fair.
dad. I don't think they should do Green Goblin yet. As far as I think you just have the character to introduce Harry, but also have, like you said, be behind the scenes, maybe with the Sinister Six and that.
That'd be cool.
But I think you would need somebody that could, have that kind of Lex Luthor quality.
yeah,
And I think Cranston could, but he may be a little bit older. But I could see a Patrick Dempsey
yeah,
do it.
yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
He's also old enough to have a kid in high school, too.
yeah.
Actually, I think Matthew McConaughey could do it. Actually, he won't do superhero movies because he doesn't want to be like tied to him. But he could be a Norman. He'd be all right.
He could be. That'd be a really. He does play a good businessman whenever he
Yeah.
did
A good sleazeball.
the Dallas Buyers Club. Yeah, he really does.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be like in the suit, but he could definitely be just the Norman.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
could definitely be like the. I didn't even think about that in Osborn, like playing like the secret hand that organizes the Sinister Six. But yeah, that would be really cool. And if it's Matthew McConaughey, that's just the nail
I
in the
can't
coffin
think
right
of
there.
McConaughey any way other than in the Green Goblin suit. Like, that would be fantastic.
Or Patrick Wilson.
true.
I mean, Patrick Wilson, although he was in Aquaman, he would be a perfect.
Oh, he
I
would-
mean, he was
he'd be
great
really
in
good
18
on
as
him.
the
Yeah.
bad guy.
He did that one really well.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really do bad jobs, though, to be fair.
It's true. Yeah, he's a rock star. No, it seems like there's.
I think he likes comic book movies and he's Watchmen.
Yeah, I heard he talked to during the Aquaman panel. He was really like, "This is awesome. Like, I love doing it." And people were like, "This is
Yeah.
awesome." Like, he's not like just like, it's a paycheck. Like,
No, I think Watchmen. I mean, although he was in the Alamo, Watchmen really helped him. The comic book world really has put him over. And so I think he's grateful about that. And I mean, hey, it is it's a big paycheck though.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, probably paid a little more than the horror movies, but
yeah,
he's got Aquaman 2.
yeah,
yeah, totally. Aquaman 2, when that comes.
If and when.
Yeah.
And-
Well, it is. So.
Oh, it is? I figured they were because of the Amber Heard thing, they were still under.
No, it's still planned.
well, I think
yeah.
all
Planned or,
production
like,
right
being
now
developed?
is like up in the
Being
air.
developed.
Oh, okay, they're working on it.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's still a couple years away, but at least.
I was gonna say I haven't heard of a lot of things that are currently in work at the moment. But
Yeah, the Batman was supposed to be, and that's halted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scream
that
5
sucks.
is being filmed this fall, but I think it was supposed to be originally filmed earlier.
But yeah. So back to Marvel. Yeah, my movie pitch. I think I just kind of took my thunder on this one because it was going to be Craven's Last Hunt.
Oh, shucks. Who'd have guessed?
We've talked about it, but no one claimed it as their pitch, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you can still use
I know,
that.
but like now the mystery of who Craven is gone. So it's kind of cheating using Craven's Last Hunt because it's supposed to be after like a long, drawn out, rivalry. But Craven's he's a guy that he's always hunting, and he's always trying to hunt the biggest game, and that puts him in a conflict with Spider-Man because he sees Spider-Man as the biggest game. So they're always doing they're always battling. And then in Craven's Last Hunt, which is like one of the best comic book storylines for Spider-Man, Craven hunts down Spider-Man, defeats him, and he shoots him dead, and he actually buries him.
Oh.
And so he actually he gets a copy of Spider-Man's suit and goes around and actually tries to prove that he's a better Spider-Man than he is. So I guess that's his idea. He's like, I killed you, but I'm going to show that I'm better than you. So, and so he goes around, and he kind of goes a little bit more Red Hood with it and starts brutally beating criminals.
Jeez.
And
Efficient.
yeah, he's
Only have
proved
to beat him
kind of
once.
he kind of
Sounds like he kind of achieves the goal a little
I mean,
bit.
it is, yeah. And so after a couple weeks, it turns out the Spider-Man's still alive. He wasn't shot dead. I mean, did you really think he was?
And the burying him alive didn't.
I guess I don't know. I guess maybe they put him in an actual coffin or something. I don't know.
Spiders can hold their breath for a very long time.
But after a couple weeks, he revives from the effects of the tranquilizer dart that Kraven got him with, and gets himself digs himself out of the grave. And Spider-Man confronts Kraven, and Kraven actually gives himself up because he believes that he won because he did prove he was a better Spider-Man. He captured a villain that actually took Spider-Man and Captain America, both their powers combined to take him down. And so, by him doing it by himself, he's like, yeah, bitch, I'm better than you. And so he gets him, and then Kraven ends up releasing Vermin, who's the bad guy that he caught, and he attacks Spider-Man, and because he thinks that Spider-Man's the one that beat the shit out of him, so he's like, I gotta fuck you up. And Vermin actually wins, and Kraven saves Spider-Man from Vermin. So it's all kinds of crissy-crossy. Is he really a villain? And then he lets him go free, and you're like, okay, he's a villain. And then Kraven just retires. He reminisces about his past and how he's at peace. And kind of forgot about this till just now. He actually kills himself with his rifle.
Oh.
So his life is fulfilled. He leaves a confession behind. What's with the face?
Sounds like a very troubled dude.
I mean, if you're doing what he does, I feel like you're not really in the
Pick up a
best
new
mood.
hobby. Stop hunting and find something else. Go hunting with a slingshot or something. Give yourself a new challenge. You don't have to life over.
But then it wouldn't be Last Hunt. I mean, I'm pretty sure he got resurrected after that. But
Didn't he learn anything from Kurt Cobain?
Oh my god.
Sorry, I had to.
I mean, yeah. Actually, let's see. When did this take place?
I do have two questions
1987.
for you about your pitch.
What's up?
One, who would you have play Kraven? Aside from everything we're talking about, who would your
I can't
ideal
use the people we just
No,
said?
you can.
Okay.
If one of them was it, but I know we were all just kind of spitballing a bunch of names. Who would your ideal one be for the role?
Honestly, after we started talking about it, he would have to bulk up for it, but I really like the idea of Jeffrey Dean Morgan doing it.
Okay.
I think he's got a really good personality. Momoa, he's good, but he's more of a bro. And I feel like Jeffrey Dean Morgan,
See, I think
little
the
bit more
reason I
class.
was thinking that is because the picture he showed me of Kraven looked a little more bro than
I don't know.
he looked a little more wild. But you're right, he could be a better Lobo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeffrey D. Morgan is very it's a lot more classy.
Yeah.
Not
Very-
very.
very
Picture of
Negan.
Kraven.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I
Does
think
he fight
Kraven.
teenage Spider-Man, or is it Spider-Man's grown up, or what time?
I'm pretty sure all times.
No, but I mean
During
in,
this?
the last.
Oh,
call,
during this. It doesn't really. So it says that he goes home to his wife. So I'm gonna assume this is Spider-Man after high school.
Okay, so not just teenage one. Okay.
Dang, it looks
I was
like
giving my
Jeffrey
question to
D.
you.
Morgan.
Is which Spider-Man is this? Kid Spider-Man? Is it grown-up Spider-Man?
Oh no,
then-
it's him when he's an adult.
Okay. And my second question was, would you include at least one Mr. Rutherford reference in there?
Is that that's
Most
most dangerous game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to because
I was like, that's
he's
100%.
hunting Spider-Man.
The second you said he hunts the biggest game out there, I was like, oh, I've heard this story once too many times before.
I know where this is
But-
going.
I don't know. I think it's just really cool. It's also interesting because you always think that him killing Peter would be the most his ultimate victory, but for him, he wanted to prove that he's better than Peter, and so he actually goes and proves that, and that's what fulfills his life. I feel like it's an interesting twist because you always imagine when they're hunting the most dangerous game that it means that they kill that guy, they've completed the most dangerous game. Like, they're fulfilled. But he wanted to prove that he was actually better than, you know, the dude that's like a mutant, the dude that's supposed to be like the best. Like, he's like, no, I beat him, and then I went and beat someone he couldn't beat. So I'm the best. Like,
That's
and then,
fair.
I mean, and then at the end, like, I feel like if we do the movie, we'll probably not do the whole suicide thing because it's a little heavy for a superhero movie. But
Probably
I think
wouldn't get picked up by Marvel. Yeah.
probably not. No. But I think like him retiring and just like kind of being at peace, I think would just be really good. I mean,
And
honestly,
like a Captain America send off kind of.
yeah, kind of. Maybe more like Thanos after he does the snap when he goes to his
It's
farm.
funny 'cause I thought that earlier after you said he like retires and stuff. Like
When
looking
he
back,
retires
I
to
was
the
like,
farm.
fucking Thanos.
So maybe more like that, just because it's more like in line with what he actually does.
And then Peter comes up and just kills him.
Exactly. Just it's like he's like, you know how strong I am. Just like puts his fist through him. Like, he's like, I was holding back before.
I was only using 1% of my power.
Peter goes and gets Stark to send some missiles over there and just blow up his farm.
That's just a
Mechanic-
dick move. That's
Mechanical
like,
spider legs and his suit that he can barely control to start stabbing Craven.
yeah. It's like
He's like, whoa, whoa,
is
whoa! I
this-
didn't mean for this. No, not how this was supposed to go.
This is how it's supposed to be at all. So yeah, so probably like having more of him looking off into the sunset thing than him killing himself. But I don't know. I think it's one of Craven's best stories, and I think it'd be really cool to see. I mean, we can take some time to get to know Craven if you want to do like him like a couple movies before. But I think him like, especially I think like knowing like if we did it like after Far From Home where he knows Peter's identity, like I feel like he'd be like watching the news and be like, Spider-Man's Peter Parker. And he'd be like, this little kid is Spider-Man?
He's
He's
just a
like, I
fucking
can do a
high
better
schooler?
job than that.
And so
then he
your
goes-
movie's from the perspective of Craven.
Yes, yeah.
Like he's
yeah.
the main character.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay, okay.
So this will probably be more kind of like in line with the Joker, where it follows like the villain
Follows like
perspective.
someone
Mm.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spider-Man's just kind of there. Like he's just a device, really.
So kind of like almost what they did with like the Venom franchise.
kind of, yeah.
Like they branch him out, make him his own kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
I mean, they haven't done it in Venom, but yeah, like Spider-Man becomes a part of it, but like Craven's ultimately the focus.
Yeah. And I mean, so I don't know. I just think that would be pretty cool. And you could change it to include more Spider-Man if that's what you want to do. But I think the story's there without having to have Spider-Man in your face all the time.
That's fair.
That sounds like a nice
All right,
little
what you
movie.
got, Charlie?
All right, so you had Homecoming, you had Far From Home. Now you have Spider-Man 3 Stay at Home. It's a quarantine Spider-Man. He's doing online classes and learning TikTok dances. There you go. No.
Yes.
In seriousness, so kind of playing off of what Tyler said, you know, here's how I think you could tie in. I want to see a live action Miles Morales. I just mentioned Donald Glover, Easter egg in there. Miles is there. Spider-Man's taken the fall here. Mysterio exposed him. This is a chance for Miles to take that torch and the heat off of Peter. Now, you don't know who Miles is, obviously, once he becomes Spider-Man, but this is time for a different Spider-Man to emerge that's not Peter Parker. You can still do a Spider-Man 3, but this gives that segue into a live-action Miles Morales Spider-Man. I know they're doing a sequel to Spider-Verse. There's no bigger Spider-Man right now than Miles Morales, and there's some good up-and-coming actors that can actually portray it. Actually had one on the podcast, Nate Moore, who actually just did a Disney movie, so he's in that realm. And I don't know if you've been watching like the guy that's like 17 or 18-year-old or 20-year-old. No, he's 20 years old. Graphic designer, visual effects, who wants to work for Marvel or Disney.
Is he the
and
one that did like,
Spider-Man?
yeah.
That's another one out there, but Miles is right there. The interest is there. It's been there for a long time, but it's even more than there after Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'm not saying you make it right away. Maybe wait till this sequel, the animated, which I don't think they necessarily have to do. I think the animation is good to like for the general public be like, hey, here's this new movie that everybody's like, this is one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. I didn't even know I like comic book movies. Now it's time for a live action. DC's not giving me Batman Beyond. Give me, and I've been waiting about more than 20 years. Give me, and you're bringing back an older Batman with Michael Keaton. give me Miles Morales live action. It's there. There's a story arc there. You already brought in his uncle. Have him take the heat off of Peter Parker.
Yeah,
It's a different looking Spider-Man. They don't know his identity. I'm not saying you can't continue on with Tom Holland or Craven or that, but I think some are getting burnt out on we're doing the Peter Parker thing again. Miles Morales is what we need.
Yeah.
What if they did this third?
And the Big Show wants to play King.
The Big Show wants to be Kingpin. That I would see Big Show as the Kingpin.
No, I think it's time. As much as I do agree with the Sinister Six, I was actually thinking that as well. But I mean, we just continue down this same Peter Parker, and I get it. But there's a new star on the block, and I think a live action, it's time. We haven't seen Kingpin involved yet. We've seen him in the anime. You don't have to. I don't know. I just want to see Miles Morales. That's my pitch. I want to see him maybe take the mantle. While Peter's in hiding, there's a new Spider-Man. Doesn't look like the normal Spider-Man. Different alter ego that they can't track because they don't obviously. You already have his uncle involved. Maybe you have the beginning of the Prowler. Bring in Kingpin. There you go.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. Yeah, I've kind of grown a bit tired of seeing mostly Peter Parker Spider-Man. So seeing a live action Miles Morales, that'd be freaking cool. I'll let see that.
It's a new take. I mean, we didn't have much of a break between Garfield, and I know why they did that because with the Avengers, and they wanted a little more younger looking Spider-Man. But luckily, it wasn't Origins like the first two, like the Garfield and Maguire. But I think the Avengers ended. The Avengers is a new take, a new story arc, something different that's not Peter Parker. I mean, we all agree, Peter Parker is awesome, but we've seen it over and over. That's why with Batman Beyond is something that's been needed forever.
Beyond? Yeah. No, it's Terry McGinnis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because Batman Beyond's the one with the actual wings in a suit. Yucky.
I mean, I could see that.
Yeah.
Like, I get the want for diversity, but I also kind of get the idea of wanting to keep the same one because that is, like, their identity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, putting someone else in the role of Batman, I don't know if I like a different Batman than Bruce Wayne. But with Spider-Man, it does work. Like, I don't know. I guess it varies from hero to hero to me.
Definitely.
Like, seeing someone else, if they try to, like, make a new Iron Man, like, I'd be super upset.
They actually did try to make a new Iron Man recently in the comic books.
Because, like, obviously he died. So if anyone was going to take that up, it's like, don't make it Iron Man. It needs to be someone else.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's Rescue or that was her name, I think. Was that Piper's name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
what was his name?
Or like
the Air Force guy who also got a suit.
Rhodey.
I
don't think Rhodey could hold a movie on his own.
Probably. Rhodey can hold a movie on his own.
I think it'd be kind of weird to see
Ironheart.
What's his name?
Yeah.
Anthony Mackie become like Captain America. I feel like to me that'd be weird because like I have an idea of who Captain America already is. It needs to be like a new version of this hero, like not Captain America, something else.
Oh yeah, I think
because for me, like I get caught up so much with like identifying the moniker as this person or as this character, that, like when you go and switch it to someone else, like sometimes for me it detracts a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think Falcon in terms of Falcon's Captain America, it does work because he still has his wings, like he still is Falcon. He just has a shield now. And
and see like that, like I'm perfectly fine with.
Yeah, so he still has
but if he gave up his wings completely and it was just Captain America, then I'd be like, well, like,
okay,
what happened to Falcon? Like,
yeah.
I just think that would be the best. I think people are kind of growing a little bit tired of Peter Parker, and or at least it's that story. You can have it, but we need something different. Luckily, we do have those animated movies, which I think were a breath of fresh air. But I think you can do that live action. You already teased one of the characters in Homecoming. You might as well make it happen. People want that to happen, and you already set up in your story that Peter Parker's disguise is blown. Well, what way to hide away for a second while a new Spider-Man emerges?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I would really like to see a live-action Miles Morales movie for the same reason that you said, was because we've seen Peter Parker so many times already. So yeah, Miles Morales would be cool.
That way Peter can go off to college. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Fixed it.
Wasn't he just?
And maybe he wants to be normal. Maybe this is his chance with, MJ. Like, that would be his chance. Like, he's kind of done right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Miles, the city needs a hero, obviously. And Miles moves forward. And that way Peter can kind of retire a little bit and be just a normal teenager. Not that he's done forever, but he's done for now. Because look at what he's all lost in being Spider-Man. He knows he really can't be with MJ being Spider-Man. That's kind of what we got from the Maguire movies as well. Being a superhero is awesome, but it sucks when it comes to dating and having friends.
Having any kind of life.
Yeah. Well, losing Tony, what they did in losing Tony. And Tony was like a father figure too to him.
Yeah.
And you kind of saw that with Happy. Happy and Aunt May. Like, Happy is tired of doing all this stuff. He gave up a good portion of his life, fighting for this cause, back in Tony, who was his dear friend that he lost. He's lost a lot of people, and so, and there's that question, and, with what they're going to do with Black Panther. Not to get off track from Spider-Man, but it's like, because they were planning to do a sequel, a different way to make Black Panther happen, where they can move forward, passing the torch. So maybe with Spider-Man, you can do that with Miles Morales. That's how you can introduce him. Because it's like, well, how do you have both Spider-Man? Well, one's kind of in hiding.
One's life got kind of terrible, so.
Yeah, well, everyone knows you're not a superhero. Everyone knows your identity.
Yeah.
That'd
be pretty cool. I definitely watch that movie, especially if Big Show's in it. If Big Show's in it, my goodness.
Man,
that's all I need to know.
Big kingpin.
That's all I need to know is that Big Show's in it.
He just
Peter
chokes
Parker goes into
Spider-Man.
politics.
I will approve only if we make it like an M. Night Shyamalan twist, where throughout the movie we're seeing Peter Parker and we're seeing Spider-Man, but it doesn't get unmasked as Miles Morales towards the very end. And this whole time you thought it was Tom Holland in the suit.
That would be pretty cool.
And then at the very end they take it off and they're like, the bad guy's like, wait, what? Who are you?
Who are
And-
you?
And Miles Morales is
could
like,
do
who are
that.
you? And like,
Or you could have kind of Peter
I'm the new
assist in a
Spider-Man.
way.
yeah, right.
You
Yeah.
can have
Like
kind
we see
of like
Peter
you
Parker,
did in the
but we don't
movie.
see
You
him
could
like
have Peter
secretly getting
assist,
Miles or
help
something. I don't know
Miles,
how, but
and kind of be in his ear a little bit. And but maybe maybe he's not super green. You don't have to do that orange because we've already seen the origin story in a little bit. But you could still have him kind of just pop in. Like maybe he pops in of like how the end of Into the Spider-Verse was a little bit. He's kind of already there, so maybe have that. But have Peter still be like a confidant, somebody that's still there.
Yeah.
But he's just not Spider-Man. I mean, he's just not. He's he's behind the scenes more, and he kind of gives the approval of Miles to be this. So that way, in the beginning, you do kind of have two Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, no, definitely want to see that at some point. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Who knows what their plan is, but
Yeah.
probably sooner the way they're cutting off our internet right now.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's a secret production right now of this movie, the way that they're cutting it out.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, those were our movie pitches. Hope you liked them. Had a nice variety. Next up is our favorite movie segment. So here's, we talk about our favorite movies, gush a little bit, talk about, characters, endings, really anything that we think is noteworthy of the movie. Sometimes we like to rage about the stuff that doesn't make sense to us about that movie. It happens. That's just how it is sometimes when you're a fanboy.
It do be like that sometimes.
It does, yeah. Some of us have made careers off of hating certain organizations.
True. Not very lucrative careers, but careers nonetheless.
At least you're known for something. All right. So if you want to kick us off with favorite movies, J. Fred?
Yeah. So I think I'm going to have to go with Spider-Man 3. Mostly just because...
Bold move.
Very bold.
Yeah.
Very, very bold.
Well, so my favorite character in the entire franchise is Venom. I like him
Ooh, yeah.
better than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which, kind of weird, I guess. But
Couldn't tell if that was a death stare from Tyler, or
I don't
if it was
really-
like a
I don't
get
know.
the fuck out.
He
Or
was looking really deeply into my eyes. It's very weird.
I was trying to tell what was going on between the two of y'all with the stare. Like,
No, he's cool. I mean, I'm not gonna, I have nothing against Venom. I think he's pretty awesome.
yeah. And I mean, I I don't know if it was in line with the comic books where Venom like tried to overcome Spider-Man and then kind of got rejected or whatever.
Spider-Man 3 follows it pretty closely.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was really cool. I never knew that beforehand. I didn't really read the comics very much. I read a few, but didn't
Nerd.
follow them super closely. Yeah, I know. I'm a nerd. It's okay. A lot of engineers are nerds.
What?
I know, right? Nobody knows. It's the best kept secret in the world. But so, yeah, basically just the appearance of Venom, seeing Spider-Man kind of start to succumb to it and then overcome it, and then Venom being there. That's all the reasons I love the movie.
What about Sandman?
I mean,
Mr.
he-
Sandman.
bring me a dream. Boop, 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 boop.
I do one better. What
The
about
fact that
the-
they have Sandman,
At
they
least
could
if they
do
had played that
Clayface and
song like on a
Batman.
radio in the background in the movie, that would have been great.
That's true. It would have.
What was that, Charlie?
I was gonna say the fact that they did Sandman, they could do Clayface and Batman.
Facts.
Yeah, especially
That's
with
true.
especially with the technology right now, that Clayface would look
It-
very.
You can do
yucky.
Clayface and Gotham.
It's
they
just
can do Clayface
Batman.
in movies.
DC is so
True.
much on realism. Like even with this new Batman, with not to get off from Spider-Man, but still, it's like that's the one thing with DC, other than Justice League, is it's still the Batman is still more realistic realism. So it's hard to have a Clayface in that world. Now you could have it in the Ben Affleck world because obviously Superman. But see,
Yeah.
Superman couldn't exist in the Nolan
Yeah.
or even the Tim Burton in that. Even though it
Definitely not in the Tim Burton.
Schumacher's is a leave off from Tim Burton. It's supposed to be
Wait a second.
technically.
Tim Burton in Spider-Man movies?
No,
But
Batman.
Oh.
I'm just saying Sandman. Every time I think of Sandman, I think, man, they could do Clayface.
The first,
Yeah.
the first two, 89, 92, Batman Returns. That
That was Tim Burton?
Yeah.
He was supposed to do Forever, and he opted out, so did Keaton.
Mm.
Mm.
I mean, technically, the Batman 66 had a movie, but it was really just a really
I
long
was about to say,
episode.
well done, Burton,
Yeah.
getting in front of Batman like that.
He,
Okay.
he was instrumental in bringing Batman back to his darker roots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that and The Dark Knight Returns. Both of those were like, because before the 80s, like Batman was like real goofy. And so that was
Yeah.
kind of the return to form.
Yeah, because a lot of
Yeah.
people, what I would have to infer from that is a lot of people knew him from like Adam West Batman.
That's
That was, like,
exactly
very
what I was about
cartoony.
to say.
Yeah, exactly. Like very cartoony and like the pals and the freaking like my favorite scene of that type of Batman is like when Joker's like call him through the phone and he's like, yeah, if you were here, I'd beat you up, Batman. It's like, okay, well, how about you put the phone down? And he's right behind him the entire time.
Very much on brand.
So yeah, that's what I really enjoyed is them bringing him back to a really dark Batman. But that's why I would assume.
Yeah.
That's why people thought he was goofy.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Sandman, no? Is that what?
I think he worked in the movie. I could do without him. Like, yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
honestly,
He's-
I could have done without Sandman in that movie as well.
What?
He
Yeah.
was really well done, and the way that they combined it into the death of
No, that
good
was
old- good-
dumb.
That was
No.
I
You
don't know.
just retcon him into killing Uncle Ben. That was dumb.
Then that's why I don't think he. I feel like
I love the rest of the story, but that part was so dumb.
It was
I feel like
unneeded.
Yeah.
I feel like he was like sand in your shoe that's there for a couple weeks. It's like he couldn't have been there. He'd be a lot better
Well,
if he wasn't there.
And
No,
like,
he was the emotional crux of the story.
like I just don't get the point of that. Like you're going and like his big thing is like he's doing this for his daughter and like
Yeah.
towards the end of the movie you start to feel for him and he not a redemption story necessarily, but like he goes away to like whatever. But there's always that part. It's like, but he killed Uncle Ben. Like you needlessly.
I thought that was
You were trying to make him a little more emotional for us, but that
And
one
then you
thing that
fucking-
you had put
oh.
in there instantly in our minds makes him he's a fucking
This guy
scumbag
is a
bad
freaking
guy. Like,
asshole.
there's no redemption for him because he killed Uncle Ben.
Killed
Yeah.
good
So
old Ben.
let me also say, in the movie, yes, you're right. He's the emotional crux. So you'd have to replace that. You'd have to fill the movie with something else. I'm just saying, I don't think it had to be him. I think there are plenty of other good options that would have worked as well or better, and I could do without it.
Okay.
He just doesn't really do anything for me.
Okay.
Mm.
So the Venom stuff's what sold you on it.
Yep.
What about New Goblin?
Whew, I was about to say that. Throw you a different bone. New Goblin.
Actually, yeah, I like that too.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh my
But
god.
Not as much as Venom.
We
Like
have like opposite views
just-
on this movie.
just throwing Venom in there, like I was gonna watch it just because of that.
Okay.
I feel like that movie would have been good here's the thing. I'll extend an olive branch with you. Keep Sandman, but take out New Goblin because
No, I mean I didn't like New Goblin, so I'm totally
he
cool
looked
with
like
that.
a troll, dude. I'm like, what? And then the way that he only appeared as Goblin in like one scene, right, and like a couple
Are you
scenes
thinking
and one
Amazing
fight.
Spider-Man 2?
No, I'm still thinking. Oh, we're talking about that one.
Yeah, we're talking about the one that,
James Franco.
Yeah,
No, I'm not talking about James Franco. Wait,
Well,
That's what
we
we're
are.
I am talking about
yeah.
James Franco because he looked
See, that's
yucky
the
in that
problem.
movie, right?
We're not talking.
No.
about James Franco. We
I
are.
was completely no.
because he just looked like a skateboard dude.
Did he?
Yeah,
I guess just my child mind just made him look like an actual demon. I guess.
No,
I don't know. I
he
just
looked
thought
in Amazing Spider-Man 2. He looked like a goblin.
Maybe you were just high
Yeah,
when you watched
he
it.
did look
Maybe.
like a Goblin Amazing Spider. I forget that actor's name. He looks like a natural
Dane
Goblin.
DeHaan, right?
Sorry, but yeah, they made him look more creepy.
I thought it was
He's
weird.
not the typical Harry. The
Yeah.
way he's portrayed.
That one's a lot more biological than we normally
Yeah.
see, and not a
Yeah.
good way. But yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was weird that he appeared as New Goblin and then he, like, Tobey Maguire, like, webbed up his
Clotheslined him?
clotheslined him and fucking like almost took his
His
head
brain
off, and then that's it.
damage, like-
That's done. And then he forget who Spider-Man was? Like
Yeah.
he forgot his identity because of that. I thought that was kind of
still
Yeah.
best friends, right?
still best friend. Right? I'm gonna fucking chop your head off.
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's a reference y'all won't get for another week or two, but it's fine.
That's interesting. No, yeah, we have very opposing views on that movie, but I'm glad that you like it.
I feel like there are about half things that we agree almost perfectly, and the other half we are totally opposite. So it's not
Hey,
really
like the
that.
Disco Spider-Man. Just Peter Parker walking down the
There we
street.
go. The dancing, is that what sold it for you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you know how I love dancing.
that was such a funny scene. Oh my god.
All right.
I love dancing. I love movies about dancing. You know,
It is funny that Jake Gyllenhaal was Mysterio because he lost out Peter Parker to Tobey Maguire.
I forgot about that. That is
Dude,
funny.
because you either become the hero or you live long enough to become the villain.
He's the
Yeah.
villain pretty much.
Shucks. Really needed a
This is
shoehorn.
like a crossover episode. Doing half Batman,
I
half
know.
Spider-Man.
It's all over the place.
I was actually gonna ask: has Spider-Man had crossover things like that? Kind of like Batman has like what Batman and Scooby Doo. I mean, that was the first time I ever saw
Whoa.
Batman. To be honest with y'all,
What about
when he
Batman
was in Scooby Doo?
What about Batman and the
Uh,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, the
I don't
comics.
like TMNT, so I'm not gonna go
Spider-Man,
there.
not really.
He
I
hasn't
mean,
had
with
anything.
other Marvel characters he has, but never with other properties like that.
Okay.
No.
I mean, there may be some random comic
He had
book out
Bla-
there, but
Spider-
I guess to be
Spider-Man
fair,
had
Batman
Blade.
really the only one that has.
for the most part, yeah.
Okay.
People forget about Blade being part of the Marvel universe.
Oh shit.
You know,
They shouldn't.
I know.
Because he doesn't really
People
get
are
that one
wrong.
doesn't really give off a superhero movie vibe to me. That's more seems like isn't he like
Well, and
vampire
that's
killer?
why Morbius.
I
You know,
mean,
Morbius is going to be
Well,
very interesting. It's going to be more of a
At a
horror
different time too.
Mm,
suspense than
It's true.
just a
Yeah.
Spider-Man villain.
mm.
I forgot all about that one too.
Yeah,
Jared Leto, hey, crossing over, went from Joker to Morbius.
bigger and better things.
Yep.
He's like,
Much better.
maybe they won't cut me
Once
out
again,
of this
go-
movie.
Someone
I'm
go,
the star.
go from DC to Marvel and do better.
In Marvel,
me-
you at least get
revitalize
5
my
more
career.
scenes.
All right, Derek, what you got?
So this is one of those times me and Jay Fred actually agree. I think Spider-Man 3 is probably my favorite as well. It's a real toss-up between 2 and 3.
The crew's gonna look a lot
But-
different next week.
But I'm not gonna lie. Like I liked emo Spider-Man. I thought first of all he was relatable. Okay, we've all been there.
No,
Swoop bangs,
What?
swoop bangs and guy liner. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
no. Emo Peter Parker was not okay.
He was definitely
That's
okay.
not what Venom's supposed to do. Venom's not supposed to
Well,
turn
to
him
be
into a
fair,
little sad
like,
boy.
I also feel like if like because my idea of Venom, like it may be wrong, but I feel like Venom wouldn't have bonded with the suit and would have gone through the suit into Peter Parker. Because doesn't he like take
Is-
over biological like beings?
Isn't that what originally happens in the comic books? Like it is, he just takes the form of the suit.
Yeah, because he can do the form of whatever he wants.
Oh, okay.
So he changes it into the suit.
I thought he was more of like a parasite that had to have because I feel like in the Venom movie they made it seem like he has to have a host.
I mean, he does have
Like
to have.
yeah.
a costume.
it has to be like
Yeah.
a living
yeah,
body.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like who's to say that he doesn't?
But, I mean,
go
there were
through the
scenes where
fibers?
Peter Parker never had the suit on.
Well, the suit was in him.
Yeah.
Oh, it was? Because
Yeah.
it looked
Yeah.
like he had the black suit under his bed at one point.
No, because he was
No.
sleeping with the way that they showed it in that movie. He was sleeping with the suit, and then Venom like started crawling up on his hand. And
Yeah,
then
I remember that
He just
part.
formed the suit, so the suit just became him.
I thought that was after he had passed out in his normal suit though on his bed.
Yeah. He passed out with the normal suit. I actually don't know. That's actually weird. Did he just eat the suit and then he just became the suit? Or
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I
guess.
think it just imprinted and like remembered the suit, and so that's why he turned into the suit. I mean, and Raimi is a little bit different on how you do things because organics web shooters aren't something from the comics.
That's
so
true too.
He could have done it differently, but in reality, it's supposed to always be attached to him. And it actually like in the animated series it did in the 90s. Like I remember him when he had the black suit, he could change it into any kind of clothing.
That'd be really convenient, honestly. I'd prefer to have something like that.
Yeah,
Me
like
too.
he
thought
was
it
like
was
walked
also
out of the alley
cool,
and he had like a suit, like like a actual suit. Like,
Yep.
Like I thought it was cool
Never
that
have to take it
for
to get
court.
pressed. Like,
it's just however you need it to look like.
how much
That's
would
how
you
it is.
save on
Yep.
clothes and
You
detergent?
spill
Yeah.
something, he's like, oh, change.
yep.
You just see like
drink
a
up,
shirt.
buddy.
Right? That's for you pouring it in a little rocket. Like,
You just
Pouring
see
one
like
out for
a
your homies is a little different for him.
yeah,
Yeah.
he pours it directly into his clothes. But,
yeah, that'd be really convenient. You just see a
Um,
shirt that you really like, you just form into it.
no,
Simple.
I liked emo, like wannabe bad boy Spider-Man. I liked that he was stronger in that sense, and like he seemed a lot more capable. But that ultimately, I mean, he had to fight against that to give it up, and like realize that it was bad for him. I liked once again that there were a group of villains, not just like one-on-one, but you had again like Green Goblin or whatever he was.
New Goblin.
Was that the official name?
I don't think he called
Oh,
himself
okay.
that, but that's what he was referred to
okay.
as.
Yeah, I was about to say New Goblin, Sandman, and I actually kind of like New Goblin. Like, I mean, I'll admit he does look kind of like traded out a cool glider for more of like a hoverboard, which trying to look more sleek, futuristic. He's a younger guy. He probably doesn't want to look like a monster. He wants to look like some
That was in the heyday of
tough
Tony Hawk,
bad
so,
boy. But true.
But
But like the scene where he's like chasing them through the alleys and stuff, I liked watching all of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought Sandman, again, other than the shooting Uncle Ben part, I
Yeah.
thought Sandman was really cool. The effects, as a character, he wasn't like trying to destroy the world or anything. He was just trying to rob some money, like
He was just
for
the
his
guy.
daughter. Like, I mean, something that anyone could easily become a villain over.
He was just the
So
guy
he
who could
was-
turn into a big sand monster.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I just hate when I'm running away from the prison guards and I fall into an experiment. And it's
I
like,
mean,
Gosh, don't you just hate it when that happens?
oh man.
like, wow, they're doing testing like right here next door to the prison I escaped, or right at the same place.
It's always science. Science is so evil. You try to.
But then again, I mean, that for all we know, who knows? Like, I don't know how prisons work. And then, I mean,
However they can make money.
I guess,
Sadly, that's true.
yeah.
We get political in this bitch.
Um,
Cross it off on the
yeah.
fucking. Cross it off the
Harry's
bingo.
redemption story wasn't bad. Like normally I hate redemption stories, but with that one, because there were other villains there to take down, like yeah, not so bad. I feel Venom was a little underplayed. Like he was very big in the being like part of the Dark Spider-Man,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. But like once he took over, like is his name Topher Grace, the
Yeah.
actor? Like once he took over, like his role, like I felt like that was too short-lived, and we didn't see enough of monstrous Venom there.
Yeah.
So he wasn't intended to be in Spider-Man 3. The studio forced Sam Raimi to put Venom in there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So it would have been
the
a
fourth
movie.
was supposed to be there was supposed to be a fourth with Carnage,
Ooh.
and Jim Carrey was being looked at as Carnage back then.
That'd be very
That'd be
interesting.
interestingly weird.
He does a lot of
But
dramatic
now we're
roles,
gonna have
so
Woody
Well, from
Harrelson
back
as
then, definitely.
Carnage.
Now, who knows? Because he's kind of gone off the rails a little bit, but I love him.
It might be better then.
Yeah, like he might be a little more crazy. I don't
That
know.
would have been interestingly weird.
I mean, I think Woody Harrelson will do a good job.
Yeah, no, I have utmost faith in him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I did think it was a little weird, which again could just be a result of a different time, like before they started using younger actors. But Tobey Maguire and them, they definitely didn't look like high schoolers to me.
Well, he graduated high school in the first one.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, in the first one, he did not look like a high schooler.
I mean, no,
to
he
me.
did not.
Well, he looked
He
30
looked
years
like a
old,
grown-ass
and
man
he
to me.
was.
Well,
Yep.
now it's the
And
reverse.
Kirsten Dunst, like, I don't know if she wasn't she a bit older than him? Like, she definitely did not look like a teenager to me.
Yeah, I mean they were probably
so?
all like because
Oh.
Toby's like now in his 40s, so that
I
was
would say James Franco might have been
2002.
younger
So
It's true. He might have. been.
yeah,
might
so
have
I
been,
bet that's
yeah.
like Dawson's Creek. None of like Tom Holland actually looks like, even though he's like 24,
He's-
looks
he's-
like he
was
could
born
be
in 82.
18
Yeah.
or
So
16.
in
That's why
was
I
it
think they went with it. Even
2007,
Andrew
she
Garfield
was-
looked
25.
old.
Yeah.
Is that when the first one came out?
No, the first one came out in 2002, so that was 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
It was 20. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
I was
that makes
looking
me
at Spider-Man
feel
3.
old.
Most recent one, yeah. Which in that one it's okay to look.
I
a little
remember
older.
going to
They've had
theaters.
some years.
It was first weekend in May.
Plus, it was
Seen
just
that
the
right before
culmination
high
of like the
school.
original Spider-Man movies that I liked. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Tom Holland. Hate Andrew Garfield, but Well, that one's still probably my favorite was Spider-Man 3. I know it got a lot of trash on it, but
No, I mean,
I thought it was good.
I still liked it, but
Yeah.
it just had some parts that makes it away from being one of the top tier ones for me.
I mean, I would say like as a better movie, the second one was definitely a better movie. It was probably like one of the better ones. But if we're going personal favorite, then probably 3.
Was it 3 the one where he started getting issues with his like organic like web shooting?
Second one.
The second one. Yeah, they would have packed too much if they would have added that on the third one. Yeah.
It did run the risk of getting cluttered.
Yeah, it was running especially if they like crammed like shoehorn Venom into
They
it.
put all the relationship issues in there.
Ugh.
They got to make him go picking up other chicks or whatever he was doing.
They got a retcon
Hey,
with
Bryce
freaking
Dallas
Uncle
Howard
Ben.
is hotter than Kirsten Dunst. I would have done it too. I mean, not when they were like dating, but like after they broke up.
Tell us more, Tyler.
Oh,
You into
okay.
cheating now. Okay.
Tell us
No,
more about
no.
your views on dating.
That whole
Tyler.
thing with
If
him,
you're a superhero, date as many people as you want. Who cares?
Also, if you're not a superhero,
no,
We
the
check.
part where they kissed on the stage, I was like, no, you're messed up for that. No, I mean like after they stopped. Anyway,
The
Juan,
hole is
what's
gr-
your favorite movie?
The hole is growing.
He's like, before I get attacked anymore, let's move on.
I mean, there's
He's
so
like,
many
"Guess
other
what?"
ways you could have dealt with that. You could have said like, if they were polyamorous, boom, all of a sudden it's ethical.
I mean, it's true.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Juan's like, guess what? Favorite movie? Spider-Man 3. Tyler, you're getting fucked now.
No.
Alright, I can carry this if I have to. But
I would have to say Into the Spider-Verse. That was such an amazing movie. Whenever I heard
Son of
about
a
it,
bitch.
yeah, I'm taking it,
There
bitch.
you go.
Nah, that one's mine.
That one was a really good
That
one.
one's mine.
actually.
That was so good.
I wasn't thinking of the cartoon one. I was thinking of just the
Mhm.
live actions, but that was a good.
Animated,
So good.
not cartoon.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a cartoon.
yeah, it is
It's
kind of
not
cartoony.
anime, it's a
It was
cartoon.
intended to be cartoony, but yeah. Except for like Penny Parker, she had like a lot of anime influence, obviously. But
Yeah, that was crossover.
yeah, that was crossing over. But yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. It had a lot of like new stuff. They didn't waste time with like the stuff that you've already seen, like Uncle Ben, because like it was Miles Morales. I really liked how their backstories were like told in the comic book form. I liked how the whole movie was laid out as if like some parts were like comic strips. And there was just a lot of references to a lot of things. Like there was a reference to the freaking emo Spider-Man, which was really funny. References to like, it was actually, I didn't know this, but the directors who were the directors for Into the Spider-Verse were actually the guys that created Clone High. So if you guys don't know what Clone High is, it's like just a TV show about like famous historical figures that are cloned and put into a high school. It's really funny. But they made a bunch of references to that in like the Christmas Carol scene where they like show like the Christmas Carol Spider-Man disc. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that movie, and I liked that Scorpion was a big Mexican man, and he would sometimes like speak in Spanish, because sometimes they make Scorpion as like an American guy, and then sometimes they make him as a Mexican. He basically has like Bane syndrome, where sometimes he's Mexican, sometimes he's a luchador, sometimes he's not a luchador, sometimes he's Middle Eastern, sometimes he's not Middle Eastern, sometimes he's white, but sometimes he's big, sometimes he's not. But who cares? So yeah, so Scorpion falls into that like Bane syndrome.
That is true because Bane is South American.
Yeah,
And then Tom Hardy, though, we'll make him British, British dude.
Let's make him a British
and then
Middle
in,
Eastern man.
Batman and Robin. I mean, he's mush brain.
Don't
I mean,
talk
he
shit
can't even.
about Tom
He's
Hardy.
just bomb.
Respect his
Like-
authority.
I'm like, dang. I remember even as a kid, I was like, dang, why did they do that to Bane? I mean,
Yeah.
That was a flavor at the time, though.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It's
no.
so they can
Bane
sell
was
voice
a lot
changers, okay?
smarter than
no, Bane was really smart.
Bane is supposed
Yeah.
to be really smart. Like
Yeah.
Bane is supposed to what I
yeah,
really
that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
Was it in one of the Tim Burton movies that they had Bane that was like super?
Yeah, it was Schumacher.
It was Schumacher.
Yeah, Batman
Schumacher,
and
yeah.
Robin.
He was like really brutish, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
Yeah.
He was like an idiot,
Like brain
just
dead.
yeah.
Yeah, basically.
a
Well,
big
at-
muscle, and that's it.
Yeah.
At the
Mm.
time when he used the venom, that's what happened. So.
Yeah. Yeah, but I really like that
He's
they
like, I will break you, Batman.
Well, when you look at him,
That's
like
how-
your first thought isn't, "Oh, this dude's probably super intelligent." You
Yeah.
look at him and think like, "This dude's probably gonna like break a wall with his hand."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he is obsessed with Venom.
Or
I mean,
Batman's
he is
spine.
he is like
One of the two.
obsessed, and that's why Batman
the
Beyond
same.
they show how it affected him. Like he's like hooked to an oxygen because
Yeah.
the venom. It's like steroids, you know,
Mhm.
like the deterioration of the body. But yeah, he could definitely converse at least. You know?
Yeah.
We're really transitioning between
Yeah,
Batman
man.
and Spider-Man over here.
I'm wondering if this is going to be like every superhero episode. It's just going to somehow come back to Batman.
But no,
Their
yeah.
villains are similar though.
They
Yeah.
are a lot of villains are similar. I mean,
They got the
I
best
mean,
rogue
Green
galleries.
Goblin, Joker.
yeah.
I completely forgot we were talking about Bane, which is a Batman villain now.
Just Bane fighting
like
Spider-Man.
Bane and Spider-Man, dude.
Oh, dude, that'd be-
Doc Ock versus Mr. Freeze.
Did we
They
just
could talk.
brainwash you? Is that what just happened?
I was like, whoa.
Doc Ock and Mr. Freeze would be cool. I feel like they definitely work well together.
Yeah, they would 100%. They make like a freaking
Yeah, he'd put fucking ice lasers on
Exactly.
the tentacles, like
just add
make
more,
it
add
even
more
more
tentacles.
OP.
Yeah, add more tentacles. Actually, 8 tentacles, and some of them shoot ice.
Venom and Ink, but that's a Batman Beyond villain.
I feel like
Yeah.
Spider-Verse was good. I thought it was interesting that they did different takes on, like, again,
Yeah.
Doc Ock being the daughter of Octavius
Yeah.
versus
Actually, Octavius.
Yeah.
What I liked about Doc Ock is the different take on her tentacles. That they were like air pumps. They were like plastic tubes that were just basically filled with
it
air.
wasn't those huge like mechanical
Mhm.
snakes.
And
with
also
eyes.
how they revealed that her last name was Octavius. Because at first she was just like in the background, she was just a random like scientist that was like shown in the classroom, and you're like, oh, okay, it's just like happy like random scientist, but that she just so happens to work for Kingpin. And then when she's like, when she's like, she sees that there's 2 Spider-Men and she knows that her machine worked. She says that her last name is Octavius, and the other Spider-Man knows. And like you could, whenever I saw it in theaters, you could feel in the theater, like everybody was like,
Just the
oh
tension
shit,
there.
yeah, it was like, oh shit, this is Octavius. But yeah, that's why I like Into the Spider-Verse, because it's very quirky, it's very childlike because it's Miles Morales. But
It's got
yeah.
John Mulaney as a talking pig. I mean,
yeah, it's got it also has freaking Nicolas Cage as
Dropping anvils on people.
the
Wherever
fact.
I go, the wind goes.
Yeah, the fact that they got Nicolas Cage as Batman Noir was so good. Just because I feel like he is one of the only people that could be Batman Noir as a voice actor. At least in my opinion, just because he's the way the Batman Noir was like really like dumb,
Really
sad.
hammy.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like only he could play that because he's always played like really like corny characters. So
Watch it.
I mean, one of his best lines is like "not the bees," and he's just screaming. I feel like he's the only
I was
man
like,
that can
National
play.
Treasure was a national treasure. Okay, you calm down.
But yeah,
By
I enjoyed that
definition.
movie.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. I can't wait for the sequel. That's gonna be something, especially when they show 2099.
And that's gonna be on Disney Plus too. They're looking to do a live action 2099.
That'd be pretty cool.
Cool.
It may actually come out in 2099 though, right? Most of these movies.
Huh?
Well, shit.
Yeah. Well,
We'll have a watch party at the senior citizens home. Everyone wants to
I think I'll be long gone,
stroll
guys.
on over in your wheelchairs or scooters.
Maybe
How
our
old
heads
do
will
you
be like
think
in
you're going to be
Futurama
in
by
9
then.
years?
dude, I could live to be 105.
Look, I'm still banking on the fact that within the
You
next
said
10.
2029, right?
I thought you said 2099.
You said 2099.
Oh, I heard 2029. I was
No.
like, that's 9
I'd be
years away. You're
101
talking
then.
about being in
Oh, I
an
thought you
old
said, how
people's
old do you
home?
think you're going to be in 90?
I
I was
mean,
like,
a
they may
healthy
prolong
101.
life somehow, okay?
No, talking 2099.
We were on totally
Dude, I've got
different
old
wavelengths
bones,
there.
okay? I'm going to be in a
Okay.
senior home by I'm 30.
Ouch.
I mean, you guys may be closer
me,
to. I
not
mean, if
you.
you make it to 100, I'm gonna
You hear these knees
be
cracking?
a cadaver. I mean,
I feel like
but
We're
who
all gonna
knows?
be
Who
heads in
knows?
jars, so-
Technology may preserve
Turns
us a
out
little bit longer. Who knows?
Futurama had it
Maybe.
right.
let's hope we become jar people, right? Let's
Yeah.
bank on that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we're a
Futurama.
robot. Our brains live in computers.
Yeah. So, my favorite movie was Into Spider-Verse. Also, it
Shucks.
no contest. I mean, the closest one after that, Spider-Man 2, but
Mhm.
Into the Spider-Verse was hands down one of the best movies that I've seen. One of the best superhero movies. One of the best animated movies. Everything that they did in that movie was just a masterstroke. Those, I think, 2.5 minutes where Miles finally, Miles is in the chair and his dad is telling him about how great he's going to be. And he actually gets out of the chair and you see him go into, for some reason, Peter Parker had a lair at the time.
Yeah. Well,
He goes down there and Aunt May was like, I've been waiting for I've been expecting you. And she hands him the wrist, her web shooters.
Yeah.
And he looks into the Spider-Man suit and you just see him like he makes his own, and you see him go up on top of, and they got that "What's Up Danger" song playing, and you see him push off. You know, it's all a leap of faith, and he just hurdles down. That's probably like 2.5 minutes of like my favorite cinema ever. Like I still get chills when I watch it. I just watch that part just every now and then, just because like it just reminds me of what you can do with a movie. It was just amazing, and they did such a great job with Miles. You know, really showing like what he has to deal with. You know, and he's how smart he is and how bad he tries to be at not being smart. Like, and like he just, yeah, he's just. I mean, there's just so much I could say about this movie. The villains were great. Prowler was great. Kingpin was great. Doc Ock was great. They kept it as comic booky as they could. I mean, they were so creative with how they made that. I mean, the frame rate, like I've read all this stuff about it afterwards. Like Miles Morales' frame rate was slower than everybody else's until he finally embraced his spider persona, and then he was at everybody's speed. You know, you see like all the different Peter Parkers. You see this unlikely partnership between him and the guy that played Nick Miller in New Girl. Like as a mentorship, and you're just like, that guy can't mentor anybody, but he actually like helps him with like his decision, like whether or not he should have children. Spider-Gwen, I mean, everything about that movie was amazing. Like they just did a fantastic job. Like they embraced all the comic bookiness that they could. They hit all these emotional beats with his family. Like when Prowler died, I was very upset. Like
that was a sad scene.
The stuff he deals with his dad, like his dad's super corny, but like he cares about him a lot, and just kind of seeing like.
Noticing the uncle kind of brought it on himself a little bit
by not killing his nephew.
Because you were a villain. Like I mean, at some point you're gonna get stopped or put down.
He got
by his own boss.
By his own boss. Like it wasn't
exactly.
even
the bigger villain always puts down the henchman villain
made
if they
it
start
more
to
like
turn
just
good.
conflicted, like back and forth. He's good. He's bad, but he's kind of good. You know, he's just doing what he's doing to survive.
And you know, there's a lot of collateral damage in that movie as well.
There was, yes.
There
When
was.
he shattered that building when he jumped off of it, glass falling that high would definitely kill some people walking around down there.
I don't care, because
He
seeing
did
him fall.
those 2.5 minutes,
stops.
$2.5 million of property damage.
I don't give a shit.
Spider-Man's a monster. Okay?
I don't give a fuck.
Ain't nobody cares. You're sounding like fucking
But
Spider-Man.
I was saying this
Spider-Man is a menace.
happened in Civil War when Tony was like, "We need to be put in check, dude." Like,
But no, like it was such a good movie. With so many, every single beat that they hit was just on point. The comedy was great. The comic bookiness was great. The action, the emotions, gets you really hyped for the sequel by introducing Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of movie greatness is it that we got the Spider-Man meme in a movie when Spider-Man 2099 jumps back to the very beginning, and it's the Spider-Man from the 60s cartoon. He's like, "Hey, you. Stop pointing at me. You pointed at me. Which one do we shoot? Spider-Man, of course." Like, it's like you're just like, how do we live in a world where we get to see this stuff on the screen? And it's a tragedy that it didn't do that well in the box office. I'm so glad it's getting a second one, and I'm just excited to see what they do. I'm excited to see what they bring into it, because I think it's going to be amazing.
It definitely will be.
I agree. It was a good one.
There was a lot of references to like Spider-Man memes that were going around at the time. So yeah, that was a really good movie.
Yeah.
I'd probably tie it up there with Spider-Man 3. Like I wasn't thinking of the cartoon ones, but yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah,
It's definitely up there.
Yeah, as soon as we talk about it, I was like, I gotta do Into the Spider-Verse, because I would do Spider-Man 2, but Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse is so much more.
I watched it at least a year, like at least yearly, like if not more.
Yeah,
which isn't really saying that much because it's 2018, but still.
Spider-Man 2 didn't have a killer soundtrack like that, so.
I mean, it did though.
Did it?
Vindicated by Dashboard Confessional, bro.
It's true.
You'd have to play it for me. I probably know it by the sound, but not the name.
You would absolutely know by the sound. But
I liked
Very emo song.
Spider-Man's theme song throughout those movies.
I do love emo songs.
yeah,
You do
Danny
too.
Elfman did great on the score for the
Yeah,
Spider-Man
yeah.
trilogy.
Oh, was it Elfman?
Yeah, he did.
Never mind. Then it was fantastic.
He did the score for
everything Danny Elfman has made.
Yeah, he did the score for the Spider-Man trilogy, but the song from Spider-Man 2 I always remember is Vindicated.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if I could tie it into another like superhero, we're gonna tie it right back to Batman, just because he also has such a good soundtrack. He also has such a good soundtrack.
Danny Elfman did do the ones for Tim Burton, so
yeah. Like whenever I feel like I'm thinking about like the video games and stuff like that.
Movies back then.
Yeah, but yeah, though, like the Spider-Man soundtrack, the theme of whenever he's like swinging and like jumping, building to building, and he has like you know that iconic like theme song of Spider-Man. I'm sorry, something funny you want to show?
Well, you said
class?
when he's like
swinging and jumping.
I'm like, that's
exactly
what he does. That's any scene with
swinging,
Spider-Man.
swinging, jumping, and kicking.
Every scene.
But you know what I mean? Whenever he's like he's not doing anything but like swinging through the city to the next
Yeah.
move, you know that's like the Spider-Man theme song.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Into the Spider-Verse, it was just like a lot of emotions. You feel like the tension of like, come on, Miles, you gotta freaking get this shit. You gotta like be able to swing. You feel frustrated as well as Miles that he can't get the rhythm of the shooting the webs correctly, and like he doesn't feel like he's Spider-Man, and you kind of feel like depressed with him. It's like, well, dang, maybe they're not gonna show him as Spider-Man, but even though they showed him in the freaking, even though you know in the trailers and you saw in like the movie promotions that like he's gonna be his Spider-Man.
Yeah, you really bought into the emotional journey.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Charlie.
Let's hear.
All right. No, Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse is really good, but mine and it is a kind of almost a tie. I love Spider-Man 1. And here's the reason why it was Spider-Man 1 is it's other than, Blade and the very first X-Men 2000, Spider-Man really saved Marvel even though it's not a Marvel studio, as far as Marvel comic book movies, if you look at the track record all the way up until Spider-Man 1, it wasn't very well. A lot of the old productions were very independent. I remember the very old Captain America movie, the old Spider-Man TV show movies, watching those as a kid. And I'll never forget when they had seeing that Spider-Man movie in the sound. You want to talk about a soundtrack? Not only just the composition by Danny Elfman, which also did the Tim Burton. I know, going back to Batman, but I mean he's just a master. When you think of Zimmer, you can't think with him without Danny Elfman. I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas. And the soundtrack, yes, it had Nickelback on it, but it had a really good Sum 41.
That's a point in its favor.
But the movie itself is a work of art, and William Dafoe is by far one of the best comic book bad guys as Norman. And we were mentioning, dang, I don't want to take it back to Batman, but the cheesy like Mr. Freeze. There wasn't cheesiness with Green Goblin, but he had his moment. We'll meet again, Spider-Man, and sleep, and there was all that, but it was perfect because William Dafoe is perfect in that role.
Yeah.
From start to finish. At first, he's kind of, he cares about Peter in a way, because he sees that Harry cares about Peter, but then this demonic ego that was created from that accident or whatever, which turns him into the Green Goblin, but he tears with that. And even at the end, you see that. I think he realized he doesn't really want to hurt Peter, but there is this way of Spider-Man is getting in his way, and he's power hungry. And that movie from start to finish and who could not love freaking Macho Man? Bonesaw is good.
The cage match.
That was awesome. Obviously, Spider-Man 2, like a lot of people. Doc Ock. That's a more emotional movie, I feel, because it's a guy, once again, like you don't usually empathize with a lot of villains, obviously, but he is somebody that has in a way a good heart, but he is manipulated too. So, yeah, Spider-Man 1 for me is always a classic. But Spider-Man 2, by far one of the until Dark Knight, once again Batman, the highest grossing movie sequel. It was in 2004, and right up there next to Empire. It might have either matched or surpassed Empire Strikes Back back then. But Spider-Man 1 for me. William Dafoe, it's hard to match him. I don't care who else you cast in Marvel or any of those Spider-Man. It's hard to match what he did with that Green Goblin. It's kind of like the Jack Nicholson Joker in a way. Yeah. It was great. When he's looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Peter. He's like, yeah, I don't know. It was the first one. It set the tone. But if it wasn't for the success of that movie, you wouldn't have had Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Probably you wouldn't have the Avengers, any of that. Even though it was, a whole different studio, Marvel was banking on that movie. They really were. and as far as a standalone Marvel comic book hero, and it was a hit, and Spider-Man 2 was a hit. My opinion, Spider-Man 3, but I could see why people do enjoy it. It was, an entertaining movie. I think it just falls the same way with like Dark Knight Rises, and damn it, Batman, I can't quit Batman. But it's the truth, because Dark Knight Rises, I mean, how do you follow up Dark Knight? Not a bad movie, but more, if you set more people in a room, they more preferred the Dark Knight. Same. Okay, Amazing Spider-Man 1. I actually liked the first Amazing Spider-Man. I loved the Lizard. I thought he was spot on. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was dog crap. But
Fair statement.
that is not any of the cast's fault. That was writing right there. But I don't think any of them can top Spider-Man 1. I mean, there's just the energy of it, and when he creates the suit, and when he's officially Spider-Man. There was a scene there is a part of Spider-Man they had to go back and redo. I don't know if you noticed what's not in the movie, but it was in the very first teaser trailer for Spider-Man. So they actually, because the movie was shot in 2001, summer of 2001. And I remember the first teaser that Labor Day weekend, and it was the Twin Towers, and it was right before that there was the teaser, and he captures a helicopter, and so they had to go back and edit out that, because the movie came out in May of 2002. I know I'm just throwing out dates here, it's making me feel old. Yeah, Spider-Man 1.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the OG.
Yeah.
And it was a high quality film.
And if I could add something about like why we keep referencing Batman and Spider-Man.
I was about to say no.
Oh, I'm going to anyways, bitch. I feel like those two superheroes, they saved. I would go out on a limb and say they saved their movie franchise of those comic books. Like if you talk to somebody who's never read comic books before and has never kept up with that, if you mention Batman and Spider-Man, that's like, oh, okay, I know those two guys, because they're like the staples of that's DC and that's Marvel. So I feel like that's
Superman tends to fall in there too, but not so much with the movies.
Not so much with the movies, no, because everybody knows Superman, but
right.
Yeah. But I feel like whenever you think about like movies, and like they don't even know who Superman is. If you say Batman and Spider-Man, it's like those are the people that I know. Like those are my dudes. But
Are you friends with them?
Of course. I mean, like I feel like I've connected as much as with good old what's that little British boy's name? I forgot his name already.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
Close friendship.
I know. But
I just call him Bud. Pal.
I feel like that's why it's so easy to connect those two superheroes, because they do share a lot of things, even though it's not like very apparent. It's like death of a family member. Bruce Wayne, it's his parents.
Peter Parker, it's
Peter
his parents.
Peter Parker's his parents. No,
And uncle.
And
They
uncle.
all have dead parents. What? A dead parents club.
That's really what keeps me from being a superhero.
Alfred is
orphan.
Aunt May.
Yeah.
Your mother's also named Martha. But yeah, I feel like
you're right. Your
That's the
parents
only
support you
thing.
too much, dude.
Martha was a popular name back then, I guess.
But yeah,
That was
I
the
guess
thing.
that's why we keep referencing Batman and Spider-Man, because there's just a lot of things that they share, and they did save their franchises movie wise. But yeah, I feel like that's why we keep comparing them. At least that's what I like to think.
I think we're just
Well,
all
also they're
sluts for
probably two of the
Batman.
most successful. I mean,
Yeah, they were very successful.
it just, as far as when you look at like pop culture, and you look about like who are the rock stars when it comes to comic books, it is, I would say Batman number one, honestly. And a lot of that comes with, Nolan reinvented that, brought that back with the success of, because Batman Begins was really kind of, if you watch it, more independent a little bit, and Dark Knight just blew everything away. But Spider-Man, Spider-Man's another one that's a rock star and has been. And I'm sure Into the Spider-Verse has even brought more light to that as well. You don't really see as many like Captain America. You see the Avengers, like people like the Avengers, but it's never like a solo. It's Spider-Man, and then it's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their villains are not far as personality traits and I mean, you can make an argument between Doc Ock and Mr. Freeze, Joker, Green Goblin. I mean, those Green Goblin and Joker are two characters that are constantly added into those movies. I mean, look how many Batman movies we have with Joker. Look how many Spider-Man movies we've had with Green Goblin. Well, I guess 2, but 3 if you count. But I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more. You know, it's just those are pivotal.
Yeah. Cool. Well, as you can tell, we all love the franchise or the Spider-Man character a lot, so had lots to talk about. So next up is going to be our audience question segment. So we asked you guys, we asked our patrons, like, what do you want to ask us? You know, get brought in a little bit to our maelstrom of madness, if you will. As you can tell, it's madness. So we got a few questions from them, so we're just going to go around and answer them. First question is, as far as, you know, love interest, do you like Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy better for Peter?
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane?
Yep.
Yeah, Mary
all
Jane.
the way.
Because of red hair?
She's the original.
I mean,
She's not the original. She's...
Well, she is the connection there, the chemistry. I like it better.
In my
Gwen
heart,
Stacy.
she's the original.
Okay. I'll allow in your heart, but in the comics she was
I
not.
mean, she's... But I mean, she is like... I don't know. I just feel he's more... I don't know. I feel like she is more grounded. I feel like Gwen kind of, I don't know, kind of cuts the heart out of Spider-Man right there. You know, I know she dies and stuff like that, but I don't feel like, I don't know, with Mary Jane, it
The
was
only good
giving
part about
him
Gwen
something
Stacy,
to
though.
always constantly chase. You know? So.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's how I feel. I did not like Gwen Stacy, and again, like, I can't say she's not better love interest because I've only seen her in that. I mean, I guess if you count her in the multiverse, the Spider-Verse one.
I'm not going
but, I mean,
based
that's
off,
not
by the
really
way, the
love interest,
comics.
but, but yeah, like, and as far as the movies go, like, I mean, first of all, I'm not the biggest Emma Stone fan, but like, I didn't like Gwen Stacy in the movie, and I'm not gonna lie, like, it was terrible. It was terrible, and am I a little bit of a bad person for this? Sure, but when he didn't catch her, I laughed. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed when she smacked that ground. I was like, oh my god, they just did that. Like,
You are a monster.
yeah, you are.
like it was
Gosh.
so close, but that quick little tap just like, oh, that was it. Yep.
What is wrong?
I mean, there
would
would have been a lot more
like
blood
as a
than
person.
there would have been a lot more blood than was in that movie, but
Jay Fred, you're saying that like you think this, but you're just not ever going to say it out loud. So you're like, how could you say that?
And like in his
No.
mind, he's like, I'm glad he
No.
said it. I'm glad he said it
No,
first.
I didn't laugh when her head hit the ground from falling hundreds of stories. It's fine.
mean,
But,
Part of it's probably that I like Emma Stone. I think she's
so I'm not a
cute.
big fan.
So
I think she's a good actress.
that too.
Okay.
I mean, no, she's a great actress. She's just not.
I like the
my cup of tea.
MJ and Homecoming and Far
Yeah.
From Home.
Yeah.
Zendaya.
Yeah.
She's a little more edgy.
I like Zendaya as Mary
Yeah.
Jane. Yeah, she's very good.
She
at
did a
that.
good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked
Yeah.
her a lot. Like that went a long way towards making me like Mary Jane again because I didn't really like Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane. Like,
See, for me, it's hard because like we had like 3 movies where she was there,
mhm.
and then like Gwen Stacy was there for what, 1 movie?
2.
She was
She was in
supposed to
both
be
of those?
there
I
in
don't
the
remember. I don't
third
remember the first
Spider-Man,
Amazing
Amazing
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
So I'm not as big of a fan of Kirsten Dunst. And I feel like they could have gotten a better actress to be Mary Jane,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like Mary Jane, the character, goes better with Peter Parker.
And see, that's
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
going
If
for.
that's-
Yeah, if we're talking
yeah.
portrayals, Emma Stone did a much better job than Kirsten Dunst.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But
no.
character-wise, I like MJ.
Yeah.
And Zendaya's MJ is really good too.
Yeah, she is really good. I like her.
I'll give you that one. Like, Mary Jane as a character, great for Peter. They balance each other out really well. In the movies, though, like Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy was amazing. Like, she was their relationship, and I know it was like that first love kind of relationship, but like,
And then,
like in Amazing Spider-Man 1, when like they were talking in the hallway and they were just being like goofs and like kind of like awkward and like trying to like ask each other out. Like, I was just like, this is awesome. Like, I really loved it, and like seeing like that relationship grow, I really enjoyed that. I'm liking what we're seeing with Mary Jane in this new Tom Holland verse, but as far as like I didn't really like the MJ they did, because MJ is a badass. Like, she's you know, she's like fierce and she's bold,
Yeah, I
and
was
like
lost in the
Peter.
movies.
Yeah, Peter was not like that. That's how they balance each other out. Because Peter is that geeky science guy, and she's like the one that when he opens the door, because his aunt was like, "Hey, this girl wants to go to this dance. Like, you should take her because you don't have a date." And he's like, "I guess." And then he opens the door and he sees this hot redhead, and she's like, "Face it, Tiger. Like you just won like the lottery." And I was just like there, like that kind of attitude. I was just like, this balances them out really well.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
And we didn't get that with, "Oh, you don't pay attention to me
They
because you're
make Kristen
Spider-Man."
Right? Like, I wonder why. It's because I'm fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of made the Kristen Dunst Mary Jane as the guy that wants the girl but really can't, is too afraid to ask her out, but you know, she's dating the dirt bag, you know, the jock. I mean, that's kind of how they played her. They didn't play her kind of tough or that. It's kind of like they made a you know, more like a Gwen, but I can see why they did that at that time, because Kristen Dunst, I mean, the Bring It On movies kind of came out about the same time. You know, she was kind of getting right into. She did one big independent film before that, so I think they were kind of just looking for a sort of down to earth, but conflicted, you know, character.
I mean, honestly, I don't know that I see her as a very dynamic actress.
I agree.
There are a couple types of characters that she plays, and she does those fairly well. I don't particularly care for them most of the time, but that's just all she does. Like, I have no problem believing that they based the Mary Jane character on, okay, we picked her to play it, and here's what she does well, so this is Mary Jane now.
Let's just roll with that.
This is her life now.
Yeah.
If we're going around, like, what was everyone's final say? Like, were we unanimously MJ, or
I think everybody said MJ except for me.
well, we said Gwen.
Character-wise, MJ.
MJ.
But from what
Yeah.
I've seen in the movies, Gwen.
See, I can agree with you on
yeah.
that. I think the reason, Emma Stone's not even that bad. I think it's that I don't like Andrew Garfield, and that was the love interest of Andrew Garfield
Yeah.
in that one.
He was
so.
50% of that equation, so I could see.
So I was like,
They
when?
literally started dating after that movie. They became an
We don't
actual
talk about
couple
that,
after
Charlie.
that movie.
We don't talk about that.
Everybody
about
knows
that
Emma
British
Stone's
boy.
waiting for me.
Well,
Okay,
she's getting
Tyler.
married.
Biding her
Dude,
time.
she hasn't had the upside down kiss yet, dude. That could be you.
Sure, yeah, that sounds like something I would do.
You're like blood's all,
hang off in an apartment building and just
blood's all rushed to your head, so it's just like your head's all like.
face is all red and sweaty, and you're like,
He did say that was
fuck
like
away
the
from
most
me.
uncomfortable
Pepper
kiss
spray.
because they do the rain, and the rain was the water was actually getting in his nose, and he couldn't breathe
I
during
mean,
that kiss.
makes sense.
I
Yeah.
can see that.
It's like you kiss me, you're trying to eat my face. So I don't know what you're going for. But
All right, what else you got?
okay,
both.
so next one. I don't know. I know you guys may not be as familiar with like the comics, but just which spider hero would you like to see in live action next, outside of Miles Morales, because we know that would all probably be our next one.
Oh, like as a Spider-Man?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So like all the other spider characters, like maybe the ones you saw in the Spider-Verse, or
Oh, okay.
if you've heard of other ones that have been going on.
If we're counting the ones in Spider-Verse, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
probably have to go Nick Cage as Noir. I'd love a live action of that. I love Nick
You
Cage.
could probably
That's
get
awesome.
Nick Cage for that.
I
Like
like
a Nick Cage for that. Yeah, I mean,
a live action of Spider-Man Noir, and it's just Nick.
And honestly, I
Nicolas
feel like if
Cage.
he was approached, Bat probably wouldn't say no to it either. He'd be like, let's fucking do it.
the movies he's doing these
Good
days,
point.
he'd be welcoming the chance probably.
But he has
Exactly,
to
yeah.
say he's got to eat a peach for hours.
And he's got to have the Rubik's Cube on him,
Right?
That'd be
I'm
really
taking
funny.
this with me. I don't understand it, but I'm taking it.
The only thing of color in his entire universe.
I don't know. Could you do a Spider Gwen? I would say maybe Spider Gwen would be a unique
Oh,
take.
Spider-Man would be a cool one. Yeah.
Just something different, just because more female. And I thought she was cool the way she was depicted into the Spider-Verse. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I
you
like
could
a lot
probably
of that.
do.
Ooh.
Or I don't know how do you do Spider-Ham.
Do the
though.
penny chick. It's a mashup with kaijus.
Nah, I think Spider-Gwen would be really cool just because of the whole story of Peter Parker becoming jealous of her spider powers and becoming Lizard.
Yeah.
Like it,
That'd be cool.
yeah, that'd be a really like in the comics. That's what
Oh,
happens.
okay. That's
And
what I
they-
was saying.
they-
Miley Cyrus
Really?
is Spider-Gwen.
You need to shut your mouth, Charlie.
Should have that. Hey y'all,
Ah,
Spider-Gwen here.
ugh,
Come at you like a
Yeah,
wrecking ball.
She's just a country bumpkin.
ruining my life here.
I would love to see Silver Sable played live action. That would be freaking cool. I just
Explain it for the boys at home that don't know what Silver Sable is.
Silver Sable is this fuck. Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
for those
she's
guys.
fucking-
I thought you were just slurring the word surfer there, and I was
No,
like,
no,
that's
no,
different.
no. It's
That's
not
a
Silver
really weird way
Surfer.
to slur.
Yeah. I was like, I know Silver Surfer.
So Silver Sable is this like really badass like assassin lady that like she's like on and off again like love interest for Peter Parker.
Which all females in the Spider Universe somehow end up being
honestly, dude,
love interest.
honestly, dude, he's a
Naturally,
fucking. We're tying it into Batman again, like Catwoman. Sometimes I fucking. Anyways,
Like Kingpin hated him. He took his wife.
She's carrying a sniper rifle in this.
Yeah, dude.
picture?
She's she's like a Russian assassin.
yeah, she's so
Is she a
cool.
web slinger?
No,
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No,
she's not.
she has gymnastics.
She's not a spider character, but she's like in his orbit.
Okay.
Yeah,
In
she's
his
in
friend
the
circle.
game. Like,
yeah.
yeah, she helps him out.
Depending on
Kinda-
who they
kinda
get to
cheating
play
a
her,
little bit,
I'd watch a
but-
movie with her in it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
dude. I would love to see a live
I
action.
don't even
Silver
have to know
Sable.
anything about it.
Just for the listeners, look up Silver Sable. There you go.
Which is
Yeah,
cool.
the Wikipedia page, particularly like right there at the top.
Oh, you mean
Silver
the,
Sable.
the picture that's always there.
Yeah, it's it's pretty great.
If you see why T-Press Lizard Brain is into it.
So wait, is Moon Knight a Spider-Man character? Is he from Spider-Man?
Spider-Man Moon Knight.
I actually don't
Is that
know
what he
how
was called?
I don't know how he got to start. He
Like
might-
it says he first appeared in something about a werewolf by night. But then like when I'm looking at pictures of the comics with him on it, like it does show like him and Spider-Man on some thing.
I'm honestly
So I was
not-
originally gonna say like Moon Knight would be a cool one.
I honestly
but-
don't know much about Moon Knight other than
Daniel Radcliffe playing him.
he's awesome and like he called Dracula a bitch in a comic. That's really all.
Yeah,
I know.
so I guess
What?
And then
Sounds cool.
Yeah,
Like,
you see this thing on Facebook and it's
not
Moon
something
Knight,
I would do, but
and he comes in and he's like, "Hey Dracula, you punk ass bitch, you owe me money."
are they still doing that movie? Or that gets
Doing a
scrapped?
show,
show.
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe.
rumored. I don't think they've confirmed anything.
Oh, they
yet.
didn't confirm. Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, that
Yes,
was
yes,
hands
He goes
down.
from wizard to vampire. There you go.
Wizard and Vampire.
There's a lot more mysterious mythological beings there. I like it.
Yeah, for mine, I would say, I mean, you want to like, I love to see Spider-Gwen. I love to see Spider-Man 2099. One that they kind of hide that isn't like just like a different like multiverse Spider-Man that I'd like to see would be Silk. Silk is relatively new, but she's Cindy Moon. She actually got bit by the same spider that bit Peter, and then like these guys that eat spider totems. We're gonna get really into the weeds with this
I
one.
was thinking about the alternative.
Can we acknowledge how
brand
when you get
Silk.
bit by a spider, you don't just flick that bitch away. You gotta squash it. Okay.
True.
This is exactly why, because they come back.
Yep. Sometimes
Well,
they bring friends.
This
Fuck
worked out for her,
spiders.
so. But she got put into like her parents locked her in like a vault for like a bunch of years. And Spider-Man found her, but she played Silk, and they have like the same powers. But it's just be really cool. Cindy Moon sounds like a really cool character, and also she's like I think she's either half or full Asian, so they kind of get like a different family dynamic, especially since they locked her in a vault.
Yeah, I mean,
And and so I think it'd just be kind of cool just to see her, because I'd love to see all these Spider-Men from different universes, but this one can still be in like Tom Holland's orbit because it is still in that same universe, and for all we know, we didn't see shit from when he became Spider-Man, so she could have been there.
true.
Easiest retcon ever. Like,
It's true.
yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
I think I'd go with Kane Parker.
Kane Parker,
I did a very little bit
Yeah.
of research on this before I came here, and he just looked really cool.
the Mark
Kane.
Kane dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you want to tell them about
Yeah,
the
who's that?
clones?
Like I said, I did a very little bit of research. It was mostly looking at pictures and reading a little bit of the top part of the Wikipedia page. And I was like, that sounds really cool. So you probably know a lot more than I do if you want to get into that. But
So, there's a very convoluted story called the Clone Saga from, I believe, the 80s or 90s.
this says 94.
Okay,
So-
94. So good year.
More clones.
It's like really like convoluted storyline where there's these clones. The Jackal, this villain, starts cloning Spider-Man.
Is it a jackal? It's a jackal. Looks like a jackal.
This time it was a Jackal. He started cloning Spider-Man, and then like they went through this whole thing where the clone started believing he was the real Peter Parker, and Peter Parker thought he was the clone because Norman Osborn like switched the blood at the DNA test and stuff. Like I said, it was a mess. But the best things to come out of it were Ben Reilly and Kane Parker. And Kane Parker is actually he was a failed Peter Parker clone. so he doesn't have like his face is kind of messed up if I remember correctly, and but he has the mark of Cain, which is like this like poisonous touch that like burns people when he touches them. I think he's the one that operated in. I think he's the one that operated in Houston actually. So.
Oh, I didn't get that far.
Yeah, there is a comic book of him in Houston because he's like, dang, this city's all human. It's like, don't we know it,
Facts.
Bubba?
Yeah. But he becomes a Scarlet Spider after Ben Reilly hangs it up. So he's pretty cool. He doesn't have as much development as like Ben Reilly does as far as like being a clone. But
Isn't he stronger than Peter Parker? Like he's physically stronger than Peter Parker. He just doesn't get tired. Like his metabolism is a whole lot different.
I think so. Yeah, because like he had some things that were more beneficial than being Peter Parker, and some things that were drawbacks because he was a failed clone, and I think that was one of them.
Yeah, he was just a powerhouse. But yeah, Cain is really cool. That was a
Cain's
good
really
choice. Cain's pretty cool.
CAIN or KANE?
KAINE.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Like a mix.
Yep. Messing you up a
The
little
mark
bit.
of Cain. A little biblical reference there. Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly what they're going for. So
Yeah, I think that was really cool. Yeah.
yeah, if they could figure out a way to make the Clone Saga not be awful, I think I would definitely love to see the clones in there.
Especially Cain.
Yeah.
I know
There
a
are
lot
a
of people want
lot
Ben Reilly.
There are a lot of franchises that have not figured out how to do the clone thing
Star
well.
Wars.
So
Now can we talk about Doc Ock as Peter Parker? And then
Superior
figured-
Spider-Man would be pretty badass. That's Doc Ock takes over Peter Parker's body, and then he tries to prove, kind of like Kraven's Last Hunt, where he tries to prove he could be a better Spider-Man than him.
Everybody's
And
just trying to be Spider-Man, dude.
He
Everybody's
was
just riding
sensing a theme here.
yeah, I'm sure they took some cues from Kraven's Last Hunt.
What's that? What's the green one that you have a pop of that I really like? Does that one have a Is that separate or is that just a suit?
You mean the green and black one?
Yeah,
That's just a suit. That's his
Oh,
stealth
never
suit.
mind then.
Yeah,
Mm.
I have the stealth suit Spider-Man pop.
Wasn't
and
sure if
it's
there was like a
black
special
and
line of
green.
comics or something for the
No,
different
I think
suits
he
in
used it for
there.
a certain storyline, but that's about it.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Then. Boo.
Boo. That'd be cool.
You
if
almost
like,
sold me on comics, but sorry, Tyler.
Shucks.
If Dark Knight's Metal isn't going to sell you on comics, I don't think
That's
this is.
fair. Yeah, I mean, that's. I have considered.
Yeah,
that
honestly, if
one.
Dark Knight's Metal doesn't
One.
sell you, then nothing will. Because that was a good read.
And that one has pretty much sold me. Like you're
That
gonna tell me a
was
bunch of
yeah,
Batman go
exactly.
evil with superpowers.
That was a
like,
good read. That was a real good read. But yeah.
as long as there's
Okay.
death and slaughter in it. Yes.
So, next question. I feel like I already know the answer for this one. When do you think they should introduce Miles Morales?
If not the
Now.
next movie, then the
They-
next one.
So when they're
Now.
scrolling past, they pass this graveyard. And there's a tombstone that says Miles Morales.
no,
I think
don't
now.
kill
Okay,
him
you
off.
already heard
now.
mine. Like,
Like now.
I think
just go through the
now
whole
is the
movie
time,
thinking it's
like,
Peter Parker, and
I
then boom,
mean,
Miles Morales.
I know that they're planning to do a third one, go in production, I think January, February of next year. But I think now's the time.
No, yeah, now is as better time as ever.
I
You
figured
know,
once
I'm not tired of seeing
now
Tom
is the
Holland
time
Spider-Man
before
yet.
Tom Holland. You know,
be a
it's
mentorship thing.
They just
could be,
like I
as long
said,
as
they
he's
just
still
did
out
the
there in
Tom
the action.
Holland because they wanted to have a Marvel Spider-Man, you know,
Yeah.
Marvel Studios Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But
Well, and he was like young enough that he could play him for
For a good
however many
bit.
years they really needed to.
and,
Like,
and the kids coming up, you got to think about this. This is why people are like, well, why are there always superhero movies? But because there's always a new generation coming up. You know, this isn't anything new.
Hopefully.
And it makes money, obviously. But kids, it's not Peter Parker, it's Miles Morales. Like
Mhm.
Miles Morales, you know, especially working at a museum, you know, Miles is like always right now because of Into the Spider-Verse. So that kind of plants, you know, that idea of like, okay, this works, this is popular, people want to see it, and it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like right now is his best time as any to bring out Miles. And if they do bring him up in this next movie, or whenever movie after that, I really hope they don't mess it up. Really, really hope they don't mess it up, which is kind of hard to mess up Miles Morales, but I really hope they don't.
They could find a way.
They don't take away. I really hope they don't take away his
You
childish
should not
charm.
underestimate Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope the one thing that I hope they don't take away is like his childish charm, because that's what Miles Morales is. Is like he's a kid, he's younger than Peter, so
He'd be like a preteen at this point.
exactly like
yeah, that's because Peter Parker right
Yeah.
now is pretty young.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, they can make it. I mean, they can make it work. I believe more in Marvel than I do, you know, Warner Brothers, and that just
Yeah.
from what they've done forever to a lot of the films.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
Or,
I
I
think
don't
they
know,
realize
Disney.
how Marvel, I think, gets it for the most part. Like I think they realize like how important this character and what they did with the animated movie. And just a fun fact about the animated movie. So Philip and was it Philip Lloyd Miller?
Frank
two
Lloyd
great-
Wright.
Nope,
Yep.
wasn't him.
Yeah, Philip.
I don't know who he's
who
talking
did the
about.
Lego
but I know it's
movie?
not him.
It's Into
Lord
the
and Miller?
Spider-Verse, right?
They
So, right-
produced it, but they didn't direct it.
No, but they got the Oscar for it. So it's funny because they got fired from Solo, and they were still working on this movie before that even happened.
Hmm.
So just a fun fact right there about. Although it's funny because that's still Disney.
Move to
but-
another freaking movie. This ain't it.
Miles Morales though has to happen. It doesn't need to be like this long-awaited boxing match.
No, exactly.
That takes forever to happen. It needs to happen now. You could still do the animated movie because I mean, dang, I'm gonna bring up Batman again, but Mask of Phantasm came out 2 years after '94. I remember, so 2 years after Batman Returns, and then Batman Forever came out the year later. So you can do it. I mean, I'm just saying, there's animated. You can do it, like, and it not mess with the live action. I just think that if you probably had a poll, what do you want to see more? A Spider-Verse sequel or actually the live action Miles Morales? And I'm sure you'll see more of Miles Morales.
Spider-Verse sequel.
Not that nobody wants to not see the sequel, but if you can give us a live action Miles Morales, that's
That'd be
even
pretty
better.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like right now, especially in like the political atmosphere and stuff, and the fact that what am I trying to say?
Great question. What are you trying
No,
to say?
I forgot. I
Do
forgot
you
his. I forgot his name. I can't believe I did. Actor who played Black Panther, who recently passed away.
Chadwick Boseman?
Chadwick Boseman. I feel like whoever plays Miles Morales could really fill that gap of like, well, who is gonna fill like the gap of like somebody that a young
black
child can
superhero.
or like a young child of that demographic can look up to, because like whenever I figured out that Miles Morales was like half Puerto Rican, I'm like, dude, heck yeah, like showing a little bit of representation for the boys back home, even though I'm not Puerto Rican, that's like still like Latino. What else am I trying to say? Like whenever I figured out that Blue Beetle was Jaime and he was a Mexican kid, I'm like, man, freaking Blue Beetle just became like one of my favorite superheroes because he's a cool character. Jaime's cool, and he's just like a teenager who doesn't know how to deal with a alien parasite on his back. But I feel like right now would be the best time to bring out Miles Morales to fill that gap and to be able to, like, I don't know. I just want to see Miles Morales.
Representation.
Yeah, basically, I just want to see Miles Morales, dude.
You really danced
There's-
around the word representation.
Yeah, I know.
I wasn't trying
there
to
are
use
a
the
couple
word
words you can
representation.
just use here.
I don't
Do
know.
you go unknown though, since he is younger? Because
I would.
I don't know who. I mean, then again, not a lot of people knew Tom Holland. I mean, he did The Impossible. That was his only other big movie before Spider-Man, which is more Ewan McGregor. You know, focus was on him. But
Yeah.
do you go a really unknown?
I feel like
That way you
I feel
really
like
see
would.
Miles
Yeah.
and like the character.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's no young, well-known black actor that I know of because like.
The only one that pops up is the kid that played Lucas in Stranger Things, and I kind of hate him. So, so you're either really good at acting or I don't like him. So
You can get young Mike Hanlon from It. Don't know who it is, but
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I could I could see him. I don't know. He wasn't. They didn't give him too much justice in it. I feel like he could have appeared a little bit more. No, like they didn't. Anyways, yeah, that's what I would like to see right now.
I think they would probably go the Daisy Ridley approach, where they look all over internationally, everywhere.
Yeah.
And look for someone, and this usually happens a lot, which is a great thing. They'll go through theater. They'll go through either Broadway or they'll go through in London. That's where they found Daisy. You know, she hadn't done a lot, but she did a lot of theater. And the only reason why is just because there's a broader range and that. And they're probably gonna. What sold Tom Holland is he could do his own stunts. He did his own backflip in his on screen.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell you someone who's cosplayed many times, and at the Museum of Spider-Man, when they asked you to flip, I'm like, I don't know that HR would like that. I'd get broken Spider-Man. I'll be Spider-Man. You know, but they're gonna look for somebody that's athletic, obviously, that
Yeah.
could probably, and then just a wide range, because that's a very emotional character too. And I think there are a lot of upcoming. They may find someone through a Disney show, I mean,
Maybe, yeah.
but I think they're gonna probably look in the independent or theater or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just really want to see freaking Miles Morales, man. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah,
care
I
who it
mean,
is.
I'm ready for it. I think it's time. It's time. What better than now, just in general? Because I think if you make it wait and wait and wait and wait, it just will be like.
No, for me, I just feel like if you were gonna do it, you would want to wait until after Spider-Verse one is over, because it'd be really confusing
Well, yeah,
to
now
have.
you
It
got
would be
the
very
choice.
confusing.
to
Yeah, to have
like,
the same.
this animated franchise going on with this character.
Yeah,
and
that
then a
would be
live action
very-
one that's
yeah.
totally separate but same character.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
Then a game series within it.
Yeah, the
Wasn't
new
it-
game that's coming out with him.
Wasn't
like,
it the first Tom Holland?
where I think he's more of an adult in that one.
The first solo Tom Holland movie came out, and then it was Spider-Verse that came out like
Yeah, the next year.
the next
Yeah.
year. So I feel like if they do that, that would still work.
Yeah,
I'm just saying those are two different Spider-Man.
yeah.
Though.
Because it worked on its own. Like people
Right,
knew
with-
that this was a different movie.
With two different
You can do a
characters.
2-3
2-3 year
for
gap.
Spider-Man, like-
You could do a
Yeah, with two different
2-3 year
characters.
gap. I
So
mean, I
if
really
you
do
had
think
Miles
you can
Morales
do
in both, then you don't have that separation anymore. I think that's what he's
yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
also kind of the same age because Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse was a lot older. He was like already married and then divorced. And
That
then
was like Tobey Maguire.
exactly.
Peter
That was like Tobey
Parker
Maguire.
right
That was like
there.
Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker. But so yeah, I
Both
feel like
belonged.
that's I guess like you would wait a couple years in between.
I mean, we'll see, because
we'll see.
I think opinion is changing, because now seeing Flashpoint with Michael Keaton's Batman and
Yeah.
Ben Affleck's Batman, we're kind of seeing people starting to become okay with the idea of multiple
And then
iterations
the
of the character
Batman.
at the same time. So I think we could see something like that happening, where people actually understand that there is a multiverse and this
Yeah,
character is
just-
going to be different.
Yeah, just do what the comic books are doing and just slap the multiverse
Yeah,
theory
I mean,
into
it really
fucking
depends
patch it
on how
up.
they frame all of it up, like the possibilities.
Yeah,
And,
and I think enough people's buying into
And
his
once again, it
character
is
that
an
they could
animated
go for that.
movie.
Yeah,
It is an
true.
animated movie.
Yeah.
So live action is a lot, like I said, they did it with, Mask of Phantasm, which is one of my favorite Batman movies, live action or animated. They can make it work. I mean, yeah, they're doing a sequel, but that doesn't take away. They may already be writing something. I mean, the thing that's good about Marvel is most of the times they'll give the fans what they want. For the most part, they listen, and I think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse showed, this character is super popular, like huge, like, and you can already see they're going that because they're doing the live action. I mean, I don't even think they're in pre-production of Spider-Man 2099 for Disney Plus, but they're talking about it. So, if they're talking about that, they have to be thinking, okay, let's give Miles, but they want to probably find the right Miles, though. I mean, I think once again, they want to have a great story because they had such a great story with Into the Spider-Verse. So the bar is going to be risen so high.
Mhm.
So, and maybe you have the same writer. I don't know. If you do the same writers, because I think their writing is great for animation. The reason why they got cut from Solo is because I think it was too over comical. That was one of the things. So
Yeah.
but maybe you hire a new writer. I don't know, but I think it's time.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll see what happens in the next few years. But yeah, so that was our audience questions. So appreciate you submitting those, everybody, and make sure that if you're a patron that you go and check out our Patreon, and we'll be looking out for those. I post them usually a few days beforehand, so that way we can get those questions out there, so that way you can hear them being answered on air. So now that we wrapped up that portion, we are going to go into our 5-star reviews.
Heck yeah.
So if you go to Apple Podcasts and you give us a 5-star review, Nerd of All Trades podcast, you know who we are. But we'll read it on the air, and you can indicate who you want to read it. So we actually got one from Jack My Lumber, and a special request for Derek. So Derek's going to read the
Heck
review.
yeah.
all right, 5-star review, Jack My Lumber. Great name, by the way. uh, great podcast with solid members and great banter. I would like Derek to say Tracy is the best and he's great. But Derek doesn't believe that, so I think everyone knows that. But.
Hey, you read it. That's all that matters.
It's true. You did say it. So
I
You
did.
did read it. You did walk into that
So
one.
Jack my lumber.
Fulfilled the contract. So thank you, Jack My Lumber, for the 5-star review. If you want to hear yours read by any of us, definitely go check us out on Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star review. Leave a nice little thing that we can talk about. If it's mean, just make sure it's mean about Juan. That's all we ask.
Of course.
I'm sensitive, y'all.
I'm desensitized.
We already cry enough. We don't need more reasons, people. If you want to find us anywhere on social media, check us out. We do a lot of postings related to our episodes, polls, things like that. If you miss our handle right now, I keep them all in the show notes. So our Facebook is Nerd of All Trades Podcast. Twitter is at NOAT Podcast. Our Instagram is nerd.ofalltrades. And our YouTube is BurchverseCreate. Charlie, if they want to get a hold of you, where would they go?
Yeah, they can go to now Charlie Vann Here on Instagram. Twitter is currently Charlie. Just you can look up Charlie Vann. It'll pop up. Its handle is Charlie Vann Jr., but I'm probably changing that, trying to get all brand. And check out the Charlie Vann Here podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify.
Great. Yeah, and go check it out, guys. He interviews a lot of pretty great people. So, and as you can tell, he knows what he's doing. He was on here, and he definitely knew what he was talking about. So,
Well, I want to thank you guys for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
oh no, definitely no problem, man. Definitely love having you. You brought a little bit more. A little bit more knowledge than some other people.
I was going to say professionalism, but
Professionalism.
A little bit more
What are you talking about?
pizzazz.
We're super professional.
A little bit more
Sorry, I
pizzazz
got
into
hacked
the.
during the whole interview, during the whole podcast. Got hacked, it looked like.
Yeah, honestly.
It's okay. It's probably just Disney trying to take us down through you. It's good.
Freaking Disney.
Yeah, and if you love this podcast and you want to go and support us, you want to be involved in our community that we're building, definitely go check us out on Patreon. We have a lot of great tiers on there that fits everybody's needs, and they all come with great benefits. Even the lowest tier helps, guys. It helps us just become bigger and better. We get to bring out more product to you guys, get to build things like a lot of the things we've talked about in this podcast so far, a lot of great ideas. And if you want your biggest bang for your buck as far as Nerd of All Trades goes, our $15 tier, the Master of All Trades, you get exclusive movie commentaries, Patreon exclusive episodes, and free merch opportunities. That brings me to our season 1 poster. So if you've been paying attention, we've been doing our 8-episode arcs as seasons. So we are actually going to be selling, if you check out our Etsy, it's Etsy. If you go to Etsy and type in BurchverseCreate, you'll find us. For $5, we're selling 11x17 posters that list all the episode names. So go check it out. It's a little graphic that I made. So if you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, please don't tell me. I don't know.
What about
you
creative
can tell
criticism?
me if you don't like it.
What about creative criticism?
No, dude, I'm fragile.
I'm sorry.
So go check that out. Definitely go and support us. We'll appreciate it. Don't forget, once we hit 20 patrons, we'll be able to launch new projects and start doing things like merch. So,
Heck yeah.
and that Patreon is patreon.com/BurchverseCreate, BURCH, not like the tree.
Gonna say it every episode, baby. Gotta make that clear.
That one time people won't know, man. They're going to look up BurchverseCreate with an eye and
You're
they're
gonna
going to be like,
forget.
what's happening?
You're gonna forget one episode. It's like, what the heck is this guy?
So I hope you enjoyed this episode on Spider-Man/Batman. Make sure you give us a follow on social media, and we'll see you next week for our episode on, it's going to be on Yu-Gi-Oh! For anime and animation. So be on the lookout for our posts. And until then, I'm your host, Tyler Birch.
This is J. Fred, the engineer, signing off.
No, this is just Derek. Bye.
This is Juan the newbie. Goodbye.
Charlie Vann.
All right. Until next time.